To America's Day of the Races on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. Good to have you with us for the Thursday card from New York and Oaklawn. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Good to have you with us. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. And the best parts of the cards to come here in New York and at Oaklawn. Going to look ahead to that seventh race here real quick. The feature on this card in Timely Conquest. Some of the speed came out, but there's still some other speed that can challenge.
And she's going to have to deal with the speed on the outside of her in this race in Frau Diablo. And I will say one thing on Timely Conquest. The one race that she was able to rate and win, and a good effort by her, was her maiden debut win on a wet sealed track. That helps her. But she is a horse, when she's been successful in her other starts, has had everything her own way. I thought she was beatable in here.
Let's take a look at her last time out. This was on a muddy, sealed track. And she led just about every step of the way and won pretty easily for her 4-year-old debut.
She was with a very strong bias in this race, a track bias, which was favoring inside speed, and she took full advantage of it to get the job done. She ran a good figure. She's obviously run well in the past, but even her win up in Saratoga in her second career start, that was with a big speed bias. So I'm a little bit leery of her, but obviously she's a player. A lot of it's going to depend on how aggressive they are with Frau Diablo, because I think Frau Diablo on the outsider can be faster.
Yeah, put blinkers on as well, so they want to go with Frau Diablo. Let's take a look at her.
I mean, she's run really well, and it's interesting. She broke her maiden three back 2 times ago. She was just in too tough a spot. But last time out was a game effort, but this was also a track that was very kind of the inside. And even the winner in this race, Swedish Princess, she rode the rail before angling into the 2 or 3 path in the stretch. But I think Frau Diablo had the run of the race being on a very good inside. And she's got a lot of speed. And the very least, she's a horse that could make things difficult for Timely Conquest. And that's one of the reasons I took a shot with Mongolian Panther. Because I thought Virtual Reality and Timely Conquest might take a lot of the money, and maybe Mongolian Panther would run a little bit better in this race. I'll take a shot at a price with David Jacobson.
With what we've seen, too, from their running styles, Frau Diablo, it almost seems like they have to descend with her, doesn't it?
They have to go. You'd have to think so. And as you say, putting blinkers on, you'd think they'd be aggressive. And judging by the results we've seen today, forward horses are doing extremely well on this card. We've also seen relatively logical results for the most part.
It's coming up in our 7th this afternoon. Take a look at what's ahead. Presented by Claiborne Farm. Races 5 through 8 here in New York. Muddy conditions. Keep that in mind. That 7th race we were just talking about. And sloppy out in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Races 4 through 9 to come from Oaklawn. We'll check in with Paula Duca a little bit later on in the program. We'll have the start of that late Pick 5 coming up as well. You can play all the action by getting signed up started right there at Naira Bets. The offer, here it is. $200 deposit match, new customer bonus. To take advantage, punch in that code at sign up, bonus 200. And bet any track, anywhere, anytime at NairaBets.com. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. Get into live action coming up, and we'll take a look at the 3-year-old picture with the big 100-point races on the horizon. Stay with us. Just getting started here on our Thursday coverage of America's Day at the Races on FS2. Back with you on our Thursday coverage of America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part where you can play it all at NYRA Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Go to NYRABets.com. We talked going to break about a look into this 3-year-old picture. Well, we had some big preps just last weekend, of course, here in New York. Grade 3 Gotham, 1 turn mile distance, and what a comeback for Deterministic, who was really such a standout with his performance in his one and only race at Saratoga last summer.
Yeah, and I think sometimes they get lost in the shuffle because it wasn't one of those brilliant wins where he was on the lead and ran a huge figure. He got a very respectable figure, but he won despite not breaking and making a big wide run that day in a relatively fast race. Well, he was a much more professional horse in the Gotham, broke on a dime, put himself in the race, and when Joel Rosario couldn't angle him out as El Grande O was drifting out, he just sort of went inside that one and ran off. This was a very, very nice return. I think one of the things that's fun on the Triple Crown Trail, Greg, is watching horses emerge. And while you knew about him from his maiden race, he was obviously a relative unknown. Whether he ends up being an effective Derby horse or not, he feels like somewhere he's going to be effective as a 3-year-old.
And to do this second start of his career, 6.5-month layoff, integrated stake on a wet track, just overcame a lot. So sky's the limit, it would seem. Very exciting performance. And we'll see if he stays here in New York for the Wood.
Yeah, he's already gone back to Florida. I mean, the connections have said everything's on the table. And we'll see. Christophe Clement never saddled a horse in the Kentucky Derby. And assuming this horse makes it there, at least he'll go with a lightly raced horse, but one with real credentials.
Meanwhile, not sure how much we learned about the comeback for the brother to last year's Kentucky Derby winner, Dornoch, in the Fountain of Youth, because the field was severely reduced.
Yeah, I've been around the track a long time, as have you, and I don't ever remember, especially a big race like this, the circumstances of what looked like was going to be a very exciting race just falling apart. But Dornoch was the last man standing, and while it wasn't a super impressive race, I don't think the connections were expecting him to run his very best race. An 88 buyer is respectable. He's going to have to get better and faster, but he has a very nice win in the Remsen where he held off Sierra Leone, who a lot of people are big fans of. He rode the rail that day, but he also set a pretty quick pace in there as well. He's talented. We'll see how good he is. We'll find out.
Talented, the pedigree, of course, and, well, now a couple of big wins, earning him points to move up that list now. Number 2 on that Kentucky Derby leaderboard, presented by Spendthrift. Going to change a lot, of course, with those 100-point races still to come in the not-too-distant future, about a month away. Let's check in for the first time today. Richie Migliori downstairs. Mig, what'd you take away from these 3-year-old preps we saw last weekend?
Well, first off, starting with Deterministic, a lot of times when we talk about horses maturing, developing, it's usually from a physical perspective. This, from a mental perspective, was extremely impressive. All the mistakes he made in his first start, and he tipped his hand that he had a lot of ability. He overcame those mistakes. He did everything right in the Gotham. He put himself in a good position. He always traveled in the bridle. He waits on his rider's cues. Obviously, he is undeterred by kickback or traffic. And I just thought this was a tremendous comeback. And what an incredible job by Christophe Clement to have this horse ready to run so well off the bench. And with Christophe as his conditioner, this wasn't his best. He's going to improve off of this run. This is a serious racehorse that I see just kind of the metamorphosis in front of our eyes developing into a mature and professional racehorse. And then Dornoch, he won. He did everything that was asked of him. It was a workman-like victory. But that's a little bit Dornoch. If you go back to Sierra Leone and him in the Remsen, I think he just lost interest when he got clear. He kind of pulled up. Then Sierra Leone came calling, and he reasserted himself. And then he was flattered by Sierra Leone's comeback, winning at the fairgrounds. So I think Dornoch is a horse that he's always going to do just kind of what he's necessary, and maybe not going to be as eye-catching, but I think there's more in the tank for sure.
Mig, thanks. So, Dornoch, a horse who's still learning, it seems like, and we'll see if he can put it all together next time out or in the Derby.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need them to run their most brilliant race in their return race. I know the connections of Deterministic. I think he ran a 7 on the Ragozin sheets. I know something was sent to me by one of his connections, and they worry about them bouncing. And I said to him, good horses don't bounce.
They
so
bounce
I hope
forward,
that's
maybe.
the case. Right. I'm impressed by him, but it's very early, and there are some nice horses out there, and we'll see as they progress and go further. And one of the problems handicapping the Derby is they make such few starts. You don't really have that good an idea of who these horses are going the Kentucky Derby. But I look forward to running through the Derby and eventually the Belmont Stakes, but then to Saratoga later in the summer as well. A lot of good racing besides the Kentucky Derby, even though that's the big one.
And a lot still to come in this Derby picture, even though big one's really only a few weeks away, but we're going to learn a lot over the span of a very short time coming up. Well, horse racing, sadly, lost one of its great voices just a few days ago. Native New Yorker, decades-long track announcer Larry Letterman passed away Tuesday after a long battle with brain cancer. He began working as an announcer in the mid-'80s at Atlantic City Racecourse. Frank Miramati called him the most entertaining announcer ever in the sport. He was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor in 2011, but always maintained a positive outlook on the hand he was dealt. He called races nationally on both network and cable TV. It was a race caller in Robert De Niro's 1993 film A Bronx Tale. Larry Letterman was 67 years old. He is survived by his brother Alan, son Scott, and grandson Caden Lobianco.
Spun to Run. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more, and he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Now, this multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, and Breeders' Cup champion is passing his remarkable talent along to his progeny.
95, 5, 200, 200 down, 2, 2, in the back, Patrick, 200,000, thank you.
Spun to Run, standing at Gainesway.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with NYRA Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with NYRA Bets.
Marshalier, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on our FS2 coverage of America's Day at the Races. It's brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Head to Hot Springs, Arkansas, in our first live action from Oaklawn Park. It's going to be the fourth race, just 3 minutes to post. Arkansas bred runners all trying to break their maiden $30,000 tag, all up for sale for that price. 6 furlong sprint. And the favorite right now, the 5, Money Strike, who is 0 for 10 to this point, but coming off best performance yet. We start with Mr. Benny.
Yeah, Mr. Benny ran well enough relative to these two back, but the last race a disaster.
9-1 here, second time out for Crime Zone.
Thought this horse could be a little interesting, dropping down, new gelding, Lasix, et cetera, a lot of changes.
Young Jonesboro was behind another rival in this field today.
I mean, the truth is, for a huge priced horse, this horse is not that far off of some of the figs.
It was not that far behind. It's the 10, Dalton's Rutrow, who's a player in here. We'll get to that horse in a minute. Money Strike, that good performance last start.
Yeah, but she's also 0 for 10 with 3 seconds. She's never, only once been a short price, but I could never bet her at a short price.
Welcome to Arkansas here at 12-1.
Welcome.
Yeah, 4 starts.
Hope she has a good one.
Never hit the board. Did show speed against a little better two-back.
One race, two-back was good enough to give him a sniff here.
First-time starter here, Little Biscuits by Street Strategy.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing to go on a first fall from an unraced dam.
Here we go. Robertino Diodoro, though, with a first-time starter.
I like those Mark Valeskis in a City Zip dam, but she was unraced as well. One of the foals ran okay in the 60s. Thank you.
14-1 per Scripture.
Nothing to speak of in the pedigree and not get. They got a little money.
Here's Ruh-Roh.
Ruh-Roh. Consistently running numbers that are fast enough to win has to be considered a contender, I guess.
Big work from Ron Moquett, Still Billy, back on January 5th.
But not getting any money. And the dam herself, was cheaper, but okay. But she had 5 foals that, Greg, I don't think they could outrun you and I.
And then also eligible gets in here, 190, 33-1.
I don't even think Paul LaDuca could cock me in on betting to this horse.
Nope, and he's been on fire this meet. 34-1, first time out, did very little running. Speaking of Paul.
I like the 2 here. I want to know what Paul thinks of the 2.
Okay, that's Crime Zone. Let's check in with Paulie for more.
Well, you guys gave me by the way, happy Thursday, first Thursday of the meet here in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and we got some rain. It's going to be sloppy throughout the day, and we're supposed to get more rain tomorrow, so maybe put on your sloppy handicapping shoes for tomorrow's card as well. But this race right here, I mean, you could go with many. Andy, I actually do like the 2 a little bit in here. I think this horse has got actually a decent shot here. Ingrid Mason has fired with a couple of her horses at this meet, and you're getting everything thrown at you, right? Gelding, Lasix, blinkers off. Why not with the test run here? You don't have to be much in here. I'll start with the 4, Bet All the Gold. This is a 3-year-old colt by Gentleman's Bet, newly turned 3-year-old. He got Lasix last time, did not break well from the 1-hole in 12-horse field, and kind of rushed up a little bit. I think he'll be better now. 94-1 last time, 5-1 today. I know he's dropping from the main special weight to 30, but, I don't know if you want to take 5-1. This is my top selection. I thought I was going to get around 8 or 9-1 somewhere in that aspect. Now the 5 in here, Money Strike. I understand what Andy's saying, 0 for 10 with 3 seconds, but he does have the best numbers in the field. It seems like these Mo for the Monies do like an off track a little bit, and this horse has had back-to-back, at least one effort, at least that last one that was good enough, and some couple other ones that are good, but do you want to take 5-2? The first time starter, the 8 in here was taking actually more money than now, 5-1 for Robertino Diodoro and Christian Torres. Christian won the second race, if I'm not mistaken, already on this card. I just don't know what to do with the way they're kind of playing this horse. And that also goes with the 11. Greg, you had mentioned the 11 Moonshine Mullen. Honor and Glory on the backside used to be a giant influence for Mudd. And this horse is a kind of bit chilly on the board. And I had heard the horse can run a little bit. But, it seems like in these Arkansas-bred races, recency, or horses that have run at least, got the advantage. So I'm going to go with Bet All the Gold. I don't really love the price at 5-1, but that's the hand I'm dealt.
All right, Paulie, thanks. Still Billy, first time out, Ron Moquett. It's that second quickest at 33 work back on January 5th at Oaklawn that makes you think maybe this horse has some ability, but not taking any attention on the board.
Hard to endorse from a trainer like Ron, not taking much money. And even the Diodoro firster at 5-1 is a little chilly. I love those Mark Valeskis, though.
Money Strike, that big figure last time out on a track labeled good here at Oaklawn. Off that performance, 2-1 favorite here in start number 11. Trying to break his maiden here as a 5-year-old. Matt Dinnerman with the call. Here's the 4th from Oaklawn.
Money Strike going in. Dalton's Retro. Still Billy. 2 back. Welcome to Arkansas and 190. Here's Welcome to Arkansas. Working with Welcome to Arkansas. Going to the gate. A little bit reluctant at this point. Wide open betting board here. 5-2 favorite is number 5, Money Strike. 7-2 for number 4, Bet All the Gold, drawn right inside of him. Still working with Welcome to Arkansas. Welcome to Arkansas now is in 190 to the outside. $190 coming up. Full field of 12 here to contest 6 furlongs. 190 goes it. Arkansas breds in line. We're ready. And Leroff, awkward break from Little Biscuits, who's well behind after that very sluggish getaway. Welcome to Arkansas. Up on the pace as a share of the lead with Bet All the Gold. Bet All the Gold takes a narrow lead. Welcome to Arkansas back in second. Money Strike third with Zippy Mark and a 3-deep Dalton's Retro in that line of 3. Another 2 lengths back to Still Billy. Mr. Benny inside of him. Another length and a half to 190. Settling in midfield. 3 clear of Young Jonesboro. Prescription is next, and then comes Crime Zone well behind, and even farther behind Little Biscuits, the slow starter, maybe a 16th of a mile behind the leaders as they round the far turn. There goes Dalton's Retro with a mid-race move here up to challenge Zippy Mark, and Bet All the Gold inside sent along. Welcome to Arkansas calls it a day, has dropped back to 4th. Money Strike absolutely needs to turn it around to win it, has been passed by Still Billy, who's on the move, passing runners as they come down the lane. Zippy Mark with about a half-length lead. Dalton's Retro in the center of the track. Still Billy trying to pick up the top pair as 4 lengths to gain. It's Zippy Mark still in command. Dalton's Retro's beaten, and now Zippy Mark starts to open up and assert his authority, and Zippy Mark gives Christian Torres the double. Drifts in late but wins comfortably clear. Young Jonesboro was second, Photo for third, Still Billy, and Dalton's Retro.
Zippy Mark, first-time starter for Robertino Diodoro with Christian Torres the win, 5-1.
Another winner for Mark Valesky. And this one, you know, I mean, I did have one foal that was after it that got buyers in the 60s, and that's all it really took, and been training down where Robertino's basically based, Louisiana Downs, and gets the job done. Didn't take much money, but was much the best. And the experienced ones left in their wake. No run from the 5, Money Strike, huh? Maybe they know the track.
That 11 horse, by the way, I believe got third for Ron Moquette. As we're back to New York Race 5, starts the late pick 4. New York Breds, maiden special weight, 1-turn mile, and a 3-5 favorite. In stress reliever, second time out for Chad Brown. We start with Call Her Bluff, 0 for 8.
But ran okay last time against the track, a big inside track, at least early on February 9th, and I think early, not late at all, the opposite. But compromised, but it had a lot of chances. 2
first-timers here next door to each other, the 2 Attagirl Addy.
Yeah, hard to get too excited based on this pedigree.
Trained by Robbie Davis. Got Arcadia aboard. Turn Up the Music, trained by George Weaver, the 3.
A year ago at a very slow 10 4/5 worked. A couple foals ran the 70s. Mile first time usually means they don't have a lot of speed and not taking any money for this barn.
Stress reliever, short price, first time out. Now a huge favorite, second time out.
Not betting at 3-5. This horse, if you like gallop outs, had a huge win last time and will benefit from that debut.
For Chad Brown, the 5, Apollonia C.
I didn't see the excuse for this horse last time, but the debut was good enough to say he's not out. She's not out of it.
And calling an audible. This will be start number 6, Luis Rivera Jr. rides.
She'd be my other horse. She was 3 wide chasing outside against the track, and I think her race 2 back was not as bad as the sort of blown lead looks, but I wonder if maybe a little cutback in distance would help her.
So 3 minutes to post. Here in the 5th, you can get stats on all the horses, trainers, jockeys for today's races by downloading free Equibase Past Performances. Go to NYRA.com/TV schedule and follow along. Let's head downstairs to Mig.
Yeah, guys, and obviously we have a huge favorite here in the 4 horse, but I'm going to start with the 3 horse, Turn Up the Music. I can see why they're starting her at a mile. She's just got a lot of length, a lot of scope to her. She looks like she'll really appreciate going far. She's extremely well turned out. I think it's a very difficult race today, distance, to debut at. So I'm going to kind of give it a wait and see, but I really like the way she's turned out. Her coat could not look any better, for a filly that's been training here all winter, but a nice consistent work tab. And I am impressed with the 3, Turn Up the Music. I think she'll be better for a run. The 5, Apollonia C, probably plays out as the speed here, coming off those sprints, showed improved speed last time. I didn't like that she got a little bit hot in the paddock. I mean, it's, kind of seasonable today. It's not, very cold. I mean, not very warm. It's not very cold. It's kind of right in the middle, and she got a little sweated up. But still acting just a little rambunctious in the post raid. Kind of led me to the 6-horse Calling Audible, who will be my top selection. I think the outside post is going to help her get the mile distance. She gets a chance to get into the race the right way, and she was extremely well turned out in the paddock for trainer Eddie Barker. I think Calling an Audible is the one I want, because I'm just not going to pick a 4 to 5 shot, guys.
All right, Mick, thank you. Stress reliever. It was after the race, after they crossed the wire, that all the hype about this horse and the reason this horse is 4 to 5.
Yeah, but to be fair, as a Chad Brown horse that got bet first time out and was running sort of late, it's interesting. I'll be very curious to see how he does. Chad Brown had another practical joke in the first race that he run at Gulfstream first time out that the barn liked and hadn't run that well in 5th and ran today like a good horse. Now, obviously took some money last time, this practical joke, but he was really asked by Manny Franco early, and he just was not going anywhere. He was sort of wide in the backstretch, and Manny rode him hard in there. It's not like he wasn't trying to motivate him, but the way he ran, or she did, the way she ran after the race in the gallop out was pretty deceptive, but it's just, to me, it indicated a horse that just didn't really know what she was doing first time out, and she's going to be more professional. I understand Richie's feeling. I don't run to bet or pick short-priced horses, but I am not picking against this horse. I believe this horse is a very, very likely winner.
And for those that think, this barn, one of the best in the game, has him ready to roll first time out, pretty darn good second time out, too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that with Chad Brown, a lot of times he's the kind of trainer that if he has a horse that's good enough to win first time, he gets him ready. But a lot of times, it feels like his horses need a little race or two, and that's the case. And I think with this horse, maybe she's just not very good. Maybe she's a horse that runs when the race is over and whatever the case is. But I'm going to be surprised if she's not a little bit more in the game early in this race with more distance, and she doesn't run well in here, because to me, she ran like a horse that figured it out too late.
Yeah, it just seemed a little green, and then maybe things kind of clicked in late, and with the blinkers on too, probably going to be a little more, at least in the game early and focused on business. We'll see if that does the trick here. Even money on the 4, Stress Reliever. Again, starts this late pick 4. Second choice is Call Her Bluff, who is the experience of this field off that second-place finish last start.
Yeah, I would prefer the one Richie likes, Calling an Audible. I think she was more compromised by the track last time out, and she's run the races. And the thing about Call Her Bluff, she's had a lot of chances to get it done. It's not impossible. It all is going to depend on what the 4 does, right? If the 4 runs to her odds or close to she's going to probably win here. But they don't have to win, just because they galloped out well and they're from good barns. Sometimes they're just a bit slow.
Will be the second winner, second-time starter on today's card for this barn, if she were to win. Chad Brown with a victory in that opening race.
Well, I'd heard when he hadn't won a race for like the first month of the Gulfstream quote-unquote championship meet that his career was over. But shockingly, apparently it's not. I mean, we're all on the at some point, all careers
horses
are
were
over.
not taken from the barn.
Right. They have not been removing the horses, and he suddenly started winning a few races here and there, and he's got a good weekend coming up too, potentially.
Here is Stress Reliever for this barn. Chad Brown, Manny Franco aboard. Again, late pick 4 begins here, 4 to 5 now. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin, the call.
Calling an Audible. All set. And they're off. Turn Up the Music has early speed, so does Stress Reliever in the pink cap, and here's Stress Reliever at the head and front. Out wider, Calling it an Audible, is trying to join this early leader. There's Turn Up the Music, who's down towards the inside. That's the leading trio. Settling just off of them in 4th is Apollonia C is out in the far outside, and the 2 down towards the inside as they come out of the chute. That's Call Her Bluff with Atta Girl Addie. Mild pressure for Stress Reliever. It's Stress Reliever who's a neck in front. Calling an Audible is engaged right to the outside here from 2nd. Trying to move forward is Apollonia C. Turn Up the Music is under a snug hold here, is now reclaimed 3rd. Is followed by Call Her Bluff, 2nd to last, with the trailer Atta Girl Addie, who starts to move closer now. 24 seconds flat for the opening quarter mile. Stress Reliever is even money and is in control. It's Stress Reliever who's up by 3/4 of a length. Here comes the run from Calling an Audible, is right there, has been there the entire journey so far. Turn Up the Music is now getting asked the question, but gets passed by Apollonia C, who secures third. The rest with some running to do. Is tailing off there was Atta Girl Addie with Call Her Bluff. The speed has it right now, 48-3 for that half-mile time. It's still Stress Reliever finding Stress Reliever, and here comes Calling an Audible is going to try this leader now. And Calling an Audible and Luis Rivera Jr., they're on the move. Stress Reliever is trying to come right back to the inside, is doing just that. It's Stress Reliever and Calling an Audible 5-6 lengths back here, too. Apollonia C, who's alone in third. It's down to these two. Stress Reliever, Calling an Audible's been there the whole way. Calling an Audible to the outside. Stress Reliever to the inside. Calling an Audible with a head in front. Stress Reliever's trying to come back. Calling an Audible. Stress Reliever down to the line. It's a photo finish. Tight photo there. Looked like the bob went to Stress Reliever, but we will see what the photo says. Final running time, 1:40.3. It's a photo in race 5.
Dead tight finish. Tough to tell. Let's take another look. Calling an Audible to the 6 on the outside. The short price favorite, the 4 on the inside.
Head bobs.
Best of the bob to
The 4 got the bob.
Yeah?
From what I saw there, I would bet my money on the 4. If you have the 6 and you got beat, that's a very tough beat because it's and this horse, if the 4 won, she got every bit of the bob and still won by a sliver, whereas if the 6 was getting the bob, she was up by 4 slivers, you know? I mean, watch this again as they come down.
Posted.
Yep, it's been posted. Stress Reliever got it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a tough beat if you had the 6. I mean, to get 4-1 and lose by a zop like that because they ran right down to the wire together and the 4 got. It's not like the 4 was lucky to win this race. It's as simple as that because this is.
I mean, the 6 takes command. But just
look at the differences in the bob, right? She's in front by a head, and then it's a sliver, in front by a head, and then she just got, I mean, the timing. And listen, head bobs can break your heart, and you can sometimes win with them, but they can break your heart over time, and this is at best a coin flip. And honestly, it really wasn't even because the 4 had to get every bit of the bob to win the right. There wasn't there was almost like it wasn't a coin flip. It was like a 20%er, and she managed to win it.
Manny Franco, Chad Brown by the skin of their teeth. Stress Reliever, second time out as an even money favorite. Had to work for this and get a little bit lucky in the process too. 4, 6, 5, 3. And a formful beginning to the late pick 4. Prices for you when we come back. We'll talk more 3-year-old picture when we return. Big Derby prep coming up on Saturday at Tampa. Grade 3 Tampa Bay Derby, $400,000 purse. Sam F. Davis winner, no more time. Out to prove he's a true Derby contender. We'll have a preview ahead. Back with you on our Thursday coverage, America's Day at the Races on FS2. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling, the MIG with us as well. Paula Duca out in Hot Springs, Arkansas. I want to remind everyone, 19% increase in New York bred maiden purses coming into 2026. Pays to have a New York bred. There's never been a better time to have a New York bred foal. For information on how to qualify your foal, visit NYRA.com/NYBreds today.
I agree. I love the New York bred program. I have to get over to the command and see the crew there, but I'll see Central Banker, but Salamini, Bucharo.
What's a whacker here? Stress reliever looked like the 6 was home, and then stress reliever gets every bit of the bob to put that nose down at the right time for the win.
I picked the 4. If you had the 4, you were lucky. If you bet the 6, you were unlucky. And there was such a big disparity in price. It's a tough bob. It's been a game of bobs, and people say they always even out. I don't know if they really even out, depending. In this case, the favorite got very lucky because the 6 really had her beat, It's not even that close, to be honest, but that was about as good a bob as the 4 could have gotten.
And that was about right after that, yeah.
It was one of the few times the stretch this 4 was in front after the 8th bowl. But I'll tell you something, and then there's no criticism of Louis Rivera, but Manny Franco is an older, stronger, experienced rider. And I'm a fan of Louis Rivera, and I really think he could have a good career ahead of him. But Manny Franco is a tough guy to run down the lane.
Race 6, we move on the card, and 7 furlongs coming up. Allowance optional claiming field, the feature. Nova Rags opens up at even money in here.
I picked her. She's not going to be even money. She's like, in pick 3, she's the 4th. He's the 4th choice. My little bit of concern with him is he's not a speed horse. He's got a closer. And we're seeing forwardly placed horses doing well. But Greg, except for the second race, we've seen relatively short prices in every race. 3 favorites, a second choice. Are logical horses winning, or is the track helping to carry speed? I don't know at this point.
Some very good runners in this 6th race that's going to kick off the cross-country pick 5. Includes races 6 and 7 here in New York, and then 7, 8, and 9. 7 and 9 at Oaklawn, 6, 7, 8 at Aqueduct. There we go. Finally got it.
I got fooled by that too a little earlier today, so don't feel bad.
We got about
bad company.
22 minutes away to get those cross-country tickets together. Good luck to everybody playing. And talk 3-year-old picture out at Tampa coming up this weekend. We're not going to have a show this weekend, but big race on the road to the Derby Trail, the Grade 3 Tampa Bay Derby, and a horse who won the Sam F. Davis, returning no more time for Jose D'Angelo, out to prove he can do it again.
Well, it is 8. Let me just say, take a look at the Tampa card Saturday. It's a sensational card there on Saturday. Now, we've seen Tampa Bay Derbies come up stronger than this, to be honest with you. And other than one horse in this race in particular, though the maiden Sturdy ran a big figure last time, no more time has to be a contender. And what he's done is he's shown he can run his race at Tampa. And we have seen over the years, occasionally horses don't show up with their best races at Tampa. He's not likely to be favored. Domestic Product is probably going to be favored, but he did get it done over Agate Road, who I'd have to assume is waiting for a race like the Jim Beam, use synthetic as more of a turf horse to try to get points for the Derby. Because he was nominated, I thought he might come here, but I wonder if they're waiting for the Jeff Ruby Stakes. I'm sorry, I'm dating myself.
Domestic Product, meanwhile, as you said, likely going to be the favorite. Chad Brown, Florovich, Tyler Gaffleone will ride, coming off a second in the Grade 3 Holy Bowl.
Yeah, I think the morning line maker, who had them close, but this was the second choice, got this one wrong. He's an odd horse. He was very impressive breaking his maiden. The Remsen, he didn't run as well in the slop in that tough race. But he ran well in here, and you can look at it in a couple of ways. You can say he got a good trip, he saved ground, he angled out, but it was a very slow pace, and he was behind horses, sort of taking dirt, getting a little bit ranked behind horses, and he still was able to finish, and he got an 87 buyer. He has been training extremely well for Chad Brown, extremely well for him, comes in here with a lot of confidence, and if he runs his race, he is going to be very hard to beat, and I think he'll be closer to 4-5 than he will to 8-5.
Coming up on Saturday, we have a little trivia for our Tampa Bay Derby as well.
I got this one right as well.
Here's the question. See how many of you can get it. Do not use the internet
Don't cheat
to get the answer. How many horses have won the Tampa Bay Derby and Kentucky Derby. I'm going to give everyone a hint. It is less than 10.
Greg had to ruin the surprise. Really kind of lame of you. I'm going to give people a hint. They're big. There's at least one big name in there.
All right, see if you can come up with it. We'll be back. More coming up, and we'll have the story of why ringing the bell in the Oaklawn Park Winner's Circle is one of the most joyous sounds at the racetrack in Hot Springs. That's when we come back. Stay with us.
Charlatan is back, and he turns it on with 1/8 of a mile to go. Express Train moves into second. Nashville dropping out of it, and then Collusion Illusion. What a spectacular return for Charlatan, who will romp in the run-happy Malibu Stakes by 4.5 emphatic lengths. Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
The Cross Country Pick 5 combines the best racing from New York with top races from around the country in one bet. Find it in your track menu and play every race day. Races are posted weekly at NYRA.com/crosscountry.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
This is Maxfield. This is a Maxfield foal. Maxfield, the G1 Breeders' Futurity and G1 Clark Hero by Street Sense. Maxfield foal. They're just like him. Walking, standing, looking perfect, and selling. This one made $500,000, the most by any freshman in 2023. Maxfield. He's the best in his field. Inquire now.
Tonalist, a 4-time Grade 1 winner with 11 triple-digit buyers, including the Belmont Stakes and the Cigar Mile. He's already living up to his potential as a sire with multiple graded stakes winners, including Grade 1 winner Country Grammar and Grade 2 winner Tonalist Shape, plus multiple 6-figure yearling and 2-year-old sales. Proven on the track, proven in the sales ring. Tonalist, standing at Lane's End.
We're back on our FS2 coverage at Oaklawn. 5th race starts the late pick 5 on the Thursday card. 6-furlong sprint, $10,000 starter allowance. It is 4-year-olds and up. And we're going to start our post parade with Good Scout, who has been popular in the claim box of late.
Comes off the claim. Now, these are, lower profile connections, but they've had some success, and I think he could be the speed here.
11-time winner from 39 starts at 2, Eternally Grateful.
He's the opposite of Good Scout, and not saying he's not a contender, but he's got no speed.
Stellar Tap just ran a much improved effort on a muddy sealed track.
Yeah, a horse that he was the 10,000th winner for Steve Asmussen. Not a fan. I like the 4 who just went by.
Larry's Legend. We'll talk more about him in a minute. The 5, Ian Glass.
Yeah, God, it feels like we've seen Ian Glass for a lot of years. We'll see what he can do here. He is forward. He's another speed.
Junior Bug, some big efforts, including last time out.
Yeah, I agree. He's another horse, though, that needs some help up front. That worries me a little.
Blowtorch 1101, Ramon Vasquez rides.
He's going to have to bring that Hawthorne form, which he so far has not been able to do.
And then Optimal Courage, a huge wet track performance at Fairgrounds 2 starts ago.
Feels like he's a wild card for the pace, and if he's aggressively ridden, it could heat the pace up a little bit. But I'm going to try the Diodora horse getting back to dirt. The 4, Larry's Legend.
All right, 2 minutes to post. Let's go to Paul and get more on this first leg of this late pick 5.
Thanks, Greg. And I think Andy, just right off the gate, I think Andy made a great point that the 1, it might be faster than the 8 in here and might get to the front end. And that could speed up some things for some of your other horses. Now let's get to the 2, Eternally Grateful. When you look at this horse, the last 8 times this horse has run, the horse has been in the exacta in all 8 races. Kind of doesn't really matter whether it's a slow pace or a fast pace. And the last time Eternally Grateful, they ran against each other. Junior Bug, who was the 4 on this day, they kind of have the same style, don't they? You could see that Eternally Grateful actually outfinishes Junior Bug to the outside late in this race. you know, you wonder if, like, Junior Bug ever got out of the gate. Can he get back to some of those races where, you know, he ran a 94 Beyer at Churchill Downs, but you look at Eternally Grateful, he's had the outside post in his last 2 races, and he just seems that he keeps on coming and coming. I know he's 1 for 9 with a lot of second-place finishes. I just think he is the horse to beat, especially if the 1 gives the 8 problems on the front end. But, you know, they can't let the 1 get away from this group either. The 3 in here, Eternally Grateful, you know, I mean, excuse me, Stellar Tap, heady claim here for 7,500 for Steve Aspen. This horse's number jumped up giant last time on the wet surface. This horse was waiting to go by horses and just went on cue and won. Now, this is a jump up in class, but the number doesn't say that it really is, that you know, this Great Tapit can compete with this group. And I think this horse has got a big shot. Steve Aspen seems like he's going after the owner's title, keeping on claiming horses after horses. And like I said, listen, Junior Bug is 3 to 1. He's got giant races to go back to, like Greg said. You're worrying now that, you know, he hasn't had a break in a little while. His last 3 races, he has gotten dead left in his last 3 races, and he's absolutely exploded. You're wondering, kind of when he breaks, he's shown speed in the past. I just don't know. His last couple of starts just worry me a little bit. So I'll go with the 2, Eternally Grateful. And I do think the 3, I mean, from 12 to 1 to 4 to 1, 6 to 1 would be a better price than the 3, but I think the 3 is improving.
All right, Paulie, thanks. Yeah, I mean, this horse, a lot of seconds, but very sharp form coming in. 4-time winner from 16 starts. Finished ahead of Junior Bug, who did, the 6 horse is the favorite right now, but again has all those problems, as Paul mentioned, out of the gate.
And gate issues are killers. I mean, they just, you know, it is definitely a problem, and you can see it, right? I mean, look at his record, right? I mean, he's got a 3rd beaten a half, a 3rd beaten a neck, a 2nd beaten a head, 2nd beaten 3/4. And the thing is, since this horse has been claimed, he has run respectable races, but he has yet to win. And he's been relatively short prices in a lot of those starts. But obviously, he's good enough to win this race. I think a lot is going to depend on how the pace develops. If the 1 is engaged by 1 or both of the 4 and 8, and it heats this pace up, obviously it helps bring the closers in the race, the hotter the pace is up front. Whereas even if the 1 who's 12 to 1, and I'm not saying the horse is good enough to win, but even if he's allowed to control here, it'll... The 1, Good Scout. Okay. I'm saying even if he doesn't get a ton of pressure, it means the pace isn't going to be fast enough, and horses like the 6, like the 2, that really hurts their chances. I'm going to just hope that Larry's Legend, a horse who has run fast figures at different times, albeit at the fairs, but still has run some fast figures, comes in for the same connection, switching to Robertino Diodoro, and I thought he was a very interesting horse getting back to the dirt, that he might be actually better on the surface overall.
Well, horse has been very good on a wet track. The 8, Optimal Courage, 4 for 8 on a wet surface, including a monster number on a sloppy seal track Fairgrounds. The last time he was on dirt, he just went on the turf last time out. So it's back to dirt. Matt Ditterman, the call. Here's the 5th from Oaklawn.
Optimal Courage to the outside. We're ready to go. And they're off. Junior Bug stumbled at the break and drops to the back. Optimal Courage on the lead today, along with Good Scout. Ian Glass between that pair. Good Scout striding forward to take a short lead. Ian Glass between horses, a joint 2nd. Optimal Courage is 3 deep on the course. A gap of 2.5 to Eternally Grateful with Stellar Tap the Gray. And then there's a length to Blowtorch, settling off the speed 3rd last. Junior Bug, Larry's Legend. Those 2 side by side at the rear. 8 lengths from tip to tail. A contentious pace battle ensues here. Optimal Courage in the 3 path comes looking for the lead. Ian Glass tries to stick to him. Good Scout on the lead early is dropped back to 3rd while under pressure. Stellar Taps creeping in. Eternally Grateful getting outside of a weakening Good Scout. And then comes Junior Bug, Blowtorch, Larry's Legend, not his day today as they swing off the turn. Optimal Courage clearly ahead. Turns for home and opens up 2. Ian Glass has had enough. Stellar Tap, Junior Bug, and also Blowtorch is getting into it. Optimal Courage is asked to sprint in the final furlong. He's got a 2-length cushion. It's a 1.5 lengths. Eternally Grateful trying to reel him in. Optimal Courage still there. Eternally Grateful lunging late. Here's the line. Photo finish. Optimal Courage, I think, got there by a nose to give Christian Torres the hat trick, but it got tight. Eternally Grateful surged late, believe was second. Also photos for the Biders.
Optimal Courage gets the 18th win of his career. Did get a little tight late, but able to hang on under Christian Torres.
And he earned it. This pace was hot. They went under 22 the first quarter, and they were moving up front. He got a clear lead. An excellent ride by Fuentes on Eternally Grateful, who made that inside-out move perfectly. And you could see the 8 was getting a little leg weary, but had just enough, and feels like he probably hung on for the barest of noses, as we've seen back-to-back close finishes at Aqueduct and then at Oakland Park.
7-2 on now an 18-time winner who's now 5 for 9 on a wet track.
Yeah. You told me you liked him, and you were right, Greg. Nice price, 7-2.
Miguel Angel Silva, Christian Torres, and 6-year-old by Optimizer, who did a lot of damage last year. 7 for 18 last year, and now 2 for 3. Undefeated on dirt to start this year. The only loss came on grass. Back to New York, race 6, approaching the 7-minute mark to post. And there is one of many talented runners in this field. Win it. Problems for him, though, come getting out of the gate in time. Let's go down to Mig.
Yeah, listen, we'll start with the 2 Win It. Big strapping son of Tappet. I actually like the turn back for him, although the problem is he doesn't get out of the gate extremely well. So that sounds kind of counterintuitive. But I just think he's a horse that does have high pace. And even if he doesn't break particularly well, if he can find a spot where he can just get into a decent rhythm, I like the turn back for him. Again, just his gate woes is something that you have to be concerned with. And the 4-horse Stolen Base. I love this horse in the turn back. Last time when he won at a big price, I was in the paddock that day. I thought he looked terrific that day, and he looks great again right here. Of course, especially when we get with these horses a little bit older, you like to watch them move and their energy level on the racetrack. But certainly, the 3 Win It and the 4 Stolen Base making a nice impression here in the paddock.
All right, Meg, thanks. We'll get to the post parade here coming up in a moment.
The concern with Win It is getting left, and if he gets left, the 2 Swiftsure is going to have the run of the race. And Swiftshure's run some fast figures. In his last race, he lost to 24 Mamba, and while he disappointed this weekend in the Tom Fool, he got completely left, which cost him the race, especially given it was 1 wire to wire. And I worry about Win It the gate. I agree with Richie. I like 7 furlongs. And you and I were talking about it off camera. Win It's a very good horse, but he's got to get out of the gate. And that's an issue. As far as Stolen Base, I don't like him in here. I'm not saying he can't win, but I feel, first of all, he's a last time was the time horse where he got a beautiful trip to get it done against lesser horses. And I also think it's fair to be a little concerned about him on wet tracks. He's run okay on wet tracks, but far and away the best dirt race he has is on a dry track. They've made a lot of money with him, and I do think he's a true dirt horse. I just wonder if he's his best in a wet track. Now, I like Nova Rags, but I'm hoping his odds go up and think they will. The reason I like Nova Rags is he's been, in my opinion, against the bias in 2 straight races. Last time out was a day you wanted to be inside. The rail was very good, and he was wide. 2 times ago, he was on the rail for much of the running, and the rail was dead. Now, he's obviously outside. He drew well. The track has been kind of speed, and he's a bit of a closer, but he's got some fast figures, and if his odds go up to 7-2 to 4-1 range, I'm happy to bet him. 5-2, kind of interested in letting him beat me. I do think the 2 is the right favorite in here, only because the 3 horse has those gate issues. If you knew that Win It was going to break, I would like him here.
This horse seem like he's quicker anyway?
The 2, he is.
Yeah.
But it's not that big a difference. I think the 3 could be laying off him, and I'd be happy. And here's Swiftsure running second. The very talented 24 Mamba, a horse for Charlie Baker, has been in raging form. I feel as though if Win It breaks, I think at the end of the day, Win It's a better horse, in my opinion. And if he were to break, I think he'd sit off him and he'd run him down. But if he doesn't break and he gives this horse an advantage, and by the way, I'm not sure I'm right. I think it's very, very close between these 2. I think the 2 is a good horse when he runs his race. This is a very, very competitive race. It is not a field that really has a weak member.
No, this is a very good group. I was a huge Win It fan early on in his career, too. It looked like he had a ton of promise. We'll see if he can overcome those gate issues today here. Here's Synthesis, remaining half of the entry for David Jacobson.
He is the longest shot on the board, but on his day, he's capable of running races that make him competitive.
He'll break from post 5. The rail to this horse, Swiftsure, who's also the speed.
And he has the speed, as you say, regardless. And if the 3 doesn't break, he may have an insurmountable advantage in this field.
Kendrick Carmouche, you saw him smiling in the paddock. He's on board the 2. The 3, Win It, John Kimmel trains.
Of course, Kendrick normally rides Win It. Well, Dylan Davis is on. I don't know who made the decision to go to Swiftsure. I think he made the right one, though. I still am a fan of this horse's talent.
Stolen Base coming off that win at 8-1 for Bruce Levine last start.
I just feel like last time was the time, and this is a tougher spot for him. And I think the wet track mitigates his chances a little bit.
He'll go from 6.5 to 7 today. Nova Rags for Hall of Famer Bill Mott, 3-1.
I like this horse, and he's drifting up, so he's going to be in territory I can bet him. I live and die betting horses that are against biases, and this horse has been against 2 in a row.
Eric Cancel will be aboard. 4 minutes away from the 6th at Aqueduct. You can get the inside track on handicapping with NyraBet's track stats. Did you know 11% of dirt races have been won by horses with 10-1 odds or higher during this Aqueduct meet? For more stats on Aqueduct and tracks across the country, go to NyraBets.com. So 3 minutes to post here in the 6th coming up. So Stolen Base, career best performance. Last time out, it was cutting back in distance from a mile to 6.5 furlongs back on February 23rd.
And he ran well in here. He did, and he ran a fast figure, but he also got a very good trip. They were battling up front. It set things up. It fell apart a bit late. So under sort of ideal circumstances, he ran a figure that could make him dangerous in here. You can say, well, maybe those races were a mile. Maybe he appreciated the cut back in distance, and I suppose that's possible. I wonder a little bit if the fast track helped him and the good trip that he got. I'm not wildly against him, but I think today is the day you're supposed to try to beat him. But on the other hand, he's now 9-2. He drifted up as all this money just came in my 6. And at 2-1, I can't bet the 6 in this race. I can't believe the money he's taking.
That is,
strange.
Surprising amount of money coming on Nova
strange.
Rags, who for a while it looked like he was going to emerge into a really top-level sprinter. Just didn't pan out for him.
He has not put it together, and I guess one of the problems is his lack of speed. Now, in some of his good races, he's been able to be forward, and we'll see if Eric can get him a little more in the race, though lately he just hasn't had the speed. And when Eric's ridden him in the past, while he's run okay, he hasn't won, and he has not shown speed.
We're going to go back to Mig with more on the horse who should be in front and has the rail to try and get there.
Yeah, guys, it's always kind of interesting, too, how your opinion or what you see changes from the paddock to the racetrack. The 2-horse Swiftsure, who did not really, grab my attention in the paddock, it really grabbed my attention on the racetrack. Loved his energy level, the animation of his warm-up. I think he's controlling speed here. I think he's going to take a lot of catching. He really, it was interesting. He almost got bigger. It looked like he puffed up when he hit the racetrack. And, you get Kendrick Carmouche on Swiftsure, who is just inside of Win It. And he's been riding Win It, and he knows Win It's habits, that he's a little bit slow away. His first step is not his best step. And when you're drawn next to a horse that has a little trouble getting away from there, a jockey's job is to make it as difficult on his opponents as possible within the boundaries of the rules. And when you've got a horse like Swiftsure who's quick away from there, his first step is usually a very good step, you're always going to try to take advantage or exploit a situation that if it presents itself. So he knows if the 3 Win It doesn't break well, he probably comes out a little bit when he's clear and makes sure he throws some dirt in his face. And again, compromises his chances. That's what being a jockey is all about.
Mig, thanks. No one would know better. 3-2 on the speed on the inside with Kendrick Carmouche for Horacio de Paz, Swiftsure, the one to beat on the board and the one to catch probably on the lead.
Yeah, I mean, the start of this race is going to be very important. It's not like Win It always gets left. And if he's able to break in here with Dylan, then it changes the dynamic it makes his job easier. And it also changes the dynamics for the 2. And while I agree with the 2's fast, he's not that much faster if the 3 can get out of the gate. So that'll be an interesting part of it. So there's a lot going on. The break is always important, but I think it's even more important in this race because of Win It.
And this horse, the 3, we're talking about Win It, not really ever has been a sprinter. But 7/8's more like a mile, really?
I don't see why 7/8 should be a problem for him. And the problem for him is getting left. The problem is not distance. Milers, especially in New York, where don't forget the mile races are here in Belmont, one-turn races. Why is that really a different race than a 7-furlong race? And it's not like he's been in mile races that have had slow paces. He's been in some quick paces.
Chris Griffin with the call. Here's the 6 from Aqueduct.
right to the front, Swift Shore. Swift Shore now is up by a full length. Make it 3/4 of a length as they quickly come out of the chute, and there's Nova Rags engaged from second. Synthesis starts to progress out in the center of the racetrack from third, and now they catch Swift Sure 3 across the racetrack. The gray, that's Win It, down at the rail there with Dylan Davis, and the trailer is Stolen Base. 3-wide battle for the front now. Swift Sure, wanted the lead, is up by a half length right towards the outside here. It's Eric Cancellin. Nova Rags just stalking the pace setter. Synthesis is trying to keep up in third. Ground-saving trip here for the gray. That's Win It, who's moving to the inside of Stolen Base. They travel as a pair from the back, 23.53, and they work into the far turn now. Swift Sure's got the lead. Nova Rags starts to move in closer. Win It still at the rail, just waiting for room. Also moving forward is Stolen Base. Synthesis is the trailer, but only about 3 off the leader. Swift Sure, 47 seconds flat for the half-mile time. Swift Sure is finding plenty so far. Nova Rags continues to chase up on the outside and at the rail. There's the rail opening here for Win It. Swift Sure now kicks away. It's Swift Sure still holding him off. Nova Rags is trying to catch this leader. Win It, just a mild rally down towards the inside and Stolen Base, but Swift Sure is inside the final furlong and extending the margin, is up by 3. Nova Rags continues to hold second. All Swift Sure. Kendrick Carmouche, they win at 7-5. Swift Sure wins it over Nova Rags, then Win It in 1 minute 24 and 1.
Swift Sure controls up front and able to go gate to wire for the win under Kendrick Carmouche.
In a lot of ways, this race was over, as we had talked about. When Win It once again broke a length slow, and Swift Sure is able to go 23 to the first quarter, 23:53. Well, then he came home on this racetrack in 1 minute and 3/5, I think 68. Minute. That is really flying on this track that's not that fast. He just was like, it's like he turned into a 5-furlong race where he had an advantage. I give Eric Cancel a lot of credit. He sensed what was going on. He got right in the game with Nova Rags. And yeah, he's playing another horse's game, but at least he did everything he could to give his horse his best chance. Maybe he's not good enough to beat this horse anyway. This is a pretty good horse.
6th win now, 17 career starts. And Swift Sure, 6-year-old by Uncle Mo for Liberty House Racing. Wins for Horacio De Paz with Kendrick Carmouche as the 7-5 favorite here in the 6th. Nova Rags, Win It, Stolen Base, round out the top 4, but no doubt about your leader every step of the way. Swift Sure with the victory. We'll have the prices when we come back. Set the stage for the 7th and more from Oaklawn on the way as well on our FS2 coverage. Back with you on America's Day at the Races, third and final leg of the Triple Crown. You don't want to miss it. What an event it was last year. June 6th through 9th this year in upstate New York at historic Saratoga. Be part of the week's festival. Tickets on sale now at belmontstakes.com/tickets.
It's not as green now, but it's getting there. It's not much. There's no snow. I was there last week. There was like no snow on the ground.
You made a little visit, right?
I did. Saw my mom for a few days. Love going up.
Well, big news as to why that is taking place in upstate New York. Belmont Park. New version, new vision, and we got our first look at some of the renderings of what's going to take place in Elmont, New York.
And there's going to be some seating up on that roof as well, which brings back from the Belmont before the previous Belmont. And you see the paddock area and lots of viewing around there. And, you know, I think it looks great, and I couldn't be more excited about it. The inner part will be a synthetic course that's been put in as well, along with the 2 turf courses and the main track as well. I think it looks great. It's an exciting time for racing in New York. And I understand change is hard. And a lot of people, you know, they have a lot of feelings towards Belmont. I've been going to Belmont a lot since I moved here in the mid-'80s. I've been to Belmont probably a couple thousand times, going back 1,500 times. I love Belmont, but it's too big. It's too empty, it's too cold, and this is a very, very exciting time for racing moving forward in New York State. And I, for one, cannot wait to be there. I love being at Aqueduct. We'll enjoy our time here, but I can't wait till that Belmont's built.
Beautiful, completely modernized, and, you know, in this age of sports, you have to bring modern amenities to a racetrack, and partnered with UBS Arena. It's right next door, just a few feet away. This becomes now, when it opens, one of the most prestigious sporting venues we have in the United States.
No, it's going to be very exciting with all the, you know, the glass looking through. I think the feeling is you want to be able to see both the front side and the paddock area from every floor and every vantage point without, you know, having brick or something blocking it. So there's going to be a lot of light in there and a lot of opportunity for viewing the events, and it's an extremely, extremely exciting time. And at some point, we all have to learn to let go of the past and appreciate the future. And this is, to me, the most exciting time for racing in New York since I've been around.
Yeah, echo those sentiments. A lot of excitement with those renderings just released the other day. So great news for racing in New York and really the entire industry. Something this new, putting this kind of money into something for our sport. It's exciting.
And listen, we got to give a lot of thanks to the governor, because without her support, this never happens. And when you think about the fact that really one of the first things that Kathy Hochul did when she got in office was come to Saratoga to go to the Travers. Now, it might have been partly because she knew I wasn't going to be there because I was homesick.
No.
And that could have had something to do with it. I don't want to give myself too much credit. But the fact that she has been incredibly supportive of us basically from day one, and understanding the importance of racing in New York State as an economic engine and how important it is to the economy of upstate New York, and bring it to Belmont and, you know, Elmont, New York, bringing a world-class facility alongside, as you said, the UBS Arena as well for the Islanders. It's an incredibly exciting thing.
No, we can't thank the governor enough. Swiftsure in the 6th at Aqueduct, 7-5 favorite with the victory, returns $4.90 for the win. Leads every step of the way. In that victories, we move on to race 7. First level allowance race. 7 furlong race here coming up. And Timely Conquest, we talked about at the top of the show, coming off that big performance on a muddy sealed track in her 4-year-old debut. She went gate to wire that day. Could have some company to her outside today.
I think Fra Diablo has got to be aggressive in here. Now, Timely Conquest showed in her debut that she doesn't need to lead to win, but her better race have come on the front end. It'll be interesting. I'm going to try to beat them both with Mongolian Panther.
Our trivia question. We're going to reveal the answer. Should I give another hint?
Absolutely. Any horse that did it has 4 legs.
I was going to say where the horse broke his maiden, but I can't do that. That would give it away. Answer on the other side of the break.
They're off in the 2023 First Crop Sires race. Maximus Mischief makes the lead with the most 2-year-old maiden special winners by any sire. On the backstretch, Mitoli and Omaha Beach close the gap with stakes performers from coast to coast. Vino Rosso finds his best and leads on the turn with 4 Grade 1 colts on dirt, but it's Mitole with his third TDN Rising Star, your champion freshman, leading an impressive Spendthrift Superfecta.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Folsom from last to first in the Met win. And Folsom is flying to the finish.
Folsom has taken the front, and Folsom kicks for home.
And Folsom sticks his neck out and runs to the wire. It is Folsom!
It's Folsom in front, and Folsom wins the Governor's Stakes.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
In deep stretch, Street Sense along the rail. Any given Saturday, here's the matchup. 100 yards to come. Street Sense, any given Saturday, down to the wire. It's Street Sense. Any given Saturday is right back at him. These two heads apart. Too close to call.
As they move headlong into the final furlong, and Street Sense has roared from 19th position to first in the Derby. Hard Spun tries to hold for second, and then farther back in Sedgefield on any given Saturday. And here is Street Sense.
Well, that is our trivia answer. Just him. Street Sense. How many horses won the Tampa Bay Derby and Kentucky Derby? Only Street Sense.
Interestingly enough, also was he the first horse to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile in the Derby?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, big win in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. An excellent horse. Horse loved to run inside. Won the Travers as well over Grasshopper. And he beat some pretty good horses in there. I think the third place finisher was pretty good, Curlin, who came back to beat him in the Preakness after Street Sense had passed him. I have a picture somewhere on my phone of Street Cry with Street Sense in the background behind him, his son from Darley from back in 2014.
What a horse.
Yeah.
$4.3 million in earnings, 6-time winner. And yeah, ended the jinx, Breeders' Cup Juvenile
that's right.
to Derby, first to do it.
Beat a very good horse in that Tampa Bay Derby, beating Any Given Saturday, who, he beat Curlin actually Any Given Saturday in the Haskell, I believe. And he was a horse for Todd Pletcher, a horse that he was running against a lot of good horses that year, so he's kind of forgotten. And he was a very talented horse.
Back to the wet track, still sloppy at Oaklawn, mile and a 16th, $12,000 maiden claiming race coming up. And Steve and son Keith Asmussen teaming up with Mo Moves. We'll see in a minute the favorite, and also the experience of the field. Strass kicks things off. D. Wayne Lucas.
I don't think there's too many contenders in here, and I think he's one of them taking the big drop for Wayne. I'm going to bet him at 10-1.
Golden Diversion went by. Here's the favorite, Mo Moves.
Golden Diversion's obviously dangerous. Mo Moves, the horse to beat, but you're still talking about an 0 for 15 maiden with 7 in the money finishes.
Traffic problems on a wet track last start, but was not good. Lucky Is My Name.
I just don't see anything to recommend about the 4, the 5, the 6 going on down the line.
Lucky Supernova, equipment change. First time blinkers off. Has done just about no running, though. Mansoura, 20-1. John Court.
Stretches out, but it's going to need to improve dramatically.
Prince Is My Boy, another one with very little form.
I agree. This horse just has done no running and has no speed.
A little bit of turf ability.
Why is this horse short?
Abby's Encore.
An Arky? Bro, he's dropping out of an Arkansas bred 50. I don't think he's dropping that much. I don't get why this horse is bet.
Strickland is 0 for 12.
Yeah.
Struggled at this level last start.
But he's named after a great basketball player.
Rod Strickland, great point guard. DePaul.
And the Knicks, drafted by the Knicks.
Yeah, Bubby Boy, 10-1.
I mean, his first race, second off a long layoff. I guess he's impossible.
Devil's Shadow 36-1.
Never done any running.
No. And 17-1 outside, Big Andy Mort.
If this horse drew inside, he'd be a little more interesting because he's stretching out, and I didn't think he was totally impossible. I'm going to try to get the one into the number. I'm going to bet on Strauss. Is it Strauss on the rail?
For D. Wayne Lucas.
Paul's
Let's go to
best
Paul
friend.
for more.
I guess it's Strauss from the rail. Thanks for that toss, Greg. It's just well done there. But yeah, this horse is taking money for Nick Juarez and D. Wayne Lucas. And they've been a pretty good, combination so far. It's tough for me to bet a horse that's been run 9th and has lost by, 66 lengths in the only 2 starts. But, you're looking at an Arkansas-bred race where a lot of things can happen in here. Now, the 3's the horse to beat. I mean, Mo Moves for Steve Asmussen. He claimed this horse back, 2 back. Now, this horse was in the Tom Amoss barn. I get it. The horse is 0 for 15. But some of the numbers that this horse has put up, I think is the horse to beat. You can also make the same, case for the 2 Golden Diversion in here, who ran really well after a horse that was having gait issues, actually sprinting, popped out of the gate going long, tried to take a field almost gate to wire or just right off the pace. And I thought he ran very well. I mean, so the barometer are the 2 and the 3 in here. The 12, I'm with you, Andy. This is my long shot in here. Big Andy Mort. I don't love the 12-0. I'm hoping that Joey Belmer can save a little ground. He already has a win already on this day. And then the 9 Strickland, he does run his races upside down. But Andy, we know about those New York City point guards, Rod Strickland, Stephon Marbury, little Mark Jackson. We can go on, but I will tell you this. One of my favorite was Earl the Pearl Washington.
Really?
I know Paulie was a fan of the shimmy from Mark Jackson.
Yeah, the shimmy, yeah. I'll never forget when he brought the broom out when they swept the Sixers in the first round, and then they lost the Bulls in the next round, a series they were favored in against Michael, and Strickland was a rookie that year. But Earl the Pearl Washington, really, Syracuse, never really had much of a career in the pros. I remember he won a game at Syracuse with a midcourt shot. He hit a midcourt shot. Not to win a game for Syracuse, yeah. My dad had taught at Syracuse at one time, and he was a huge Syracuse fan. So I used to book his bets on them all the time because that's who I am.
Yeah, Jim Boeheim just came out and was trashing everyone who said Caitlin Clark is not – those that question that she's not a winner because she hasn't won a championship, which seems ridiculous to even say.
She's like breaking records for viewership, right? I mean, people are watching her games more than like big games, and she's phenomenal. And why can't we just celebrate her incredible achievement? And lots like she hasn't won a championship. Give me a break. That's where people had to go to criticize her. I mean, how about just celebrating how remarkable she is?
Outside of, I don't even know. Outside of Steph Curry, might be the best shooter we have in the game.
Right.
This race coming up, 9-5 favorite. Mo Moves 0 for 15. Encountered some traffic problems last time out, but it was at this level. Short price favorite got beat.
He's found the right field for an 0 for 15. There's no doubt about it. There's just limited options. But horses like this tend to find ways to lose, and I think Golden Diversion is obviously the logical other horse, and thus the second choice. I don't have any idea what they like about Abby's Encore. Sometimes when these horses are bet, and this is an Arkansas bred, and this is not an Arkansas bred race, Strickland's probably the more likely one, but that one's 0 for 12, never finished second. I'm going to take Strauss on the big drop down. Wayne actually has okay numbers, maiden special weight to maiden claimers, particularly at Oaklawn, where in routes he's 3 for 11 with a gigantic ROI because he had an $80 horse in the sample.
Coming out of that Henro race, who was beat by the Southwest winner, Mystic Dan Henro.
He was right there. That. I mean, he was only beaten 46 3/4.
Yeah.
I had it 46.5, so I don't want to quibble about it.
9-1 from the inside post. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
Lucky As My Name has got it. Devil's Shadow. Lucky Supernova. 2 back, Mansura. And to the outside, Big Andy Mort. Full field of 12 here to kick off the late pick 4. We're ready to go. And Leroff. Strickland got bumped between horses and dropped back, had to slam on the brakes hard, gets towards the rail, but he's well out of it early. Strasse from the inside. Mo moves outside of him. Those two get acquainted on the lead, charging into the turn. Mansura runs in third. Golden Diversion passing him to claim that position. Then comes Bugby Boy. He's in the 5th position, 5 lengths off the pace. Lucky As My Name is next right behind him. Had to tap on the brakes and drop back a few spots. Big Andy Moore, Devil's Shadow, and Abby's Encore all stretched across the track. Lucky As My Name in the 2-path joins them. A gap of 4 lengths back to Lucky Supernova. Strickland is second to last, and Prince Is My Boy is the early trailer. Down the back stretch they run. Mo moves on the outside with a head lead here. Strasse on the inside, right there with him on his throat latch. Golden Diversion with absolutely no excuses right behind him. Gets the Garden Trip in third. A gap of 2 to Mansura sent along. Bubby Boy 5th. He's 7 behind into the forward turn run. Lucky As My Name is next. Strickland's getting underway, begins an early move, passes a bunch of horses. He's now in the 7th position. He's 10 lengths behind, sent along, but is moving up. Big Andy Mort follows next with Abby's Encore. Then Lucky Supernova drops to the back. Prince Is My Boy and Devil's Shadow is tailed off as they round the forward turn. Top pairs start to open up on Golden Diversion. Mo moves on the outside, confidently handled by Keith Asmussen. Strasse on the inside, under pressure, turning into the stretch, and Mo Moves is in front now. He's asked for his best. Leads the way. Strasse's trying in second. Golden Diversion 2 back in third. Plodding along and grinding away. Furlong to go. Mo Moves still in front. Strasse's done. Golden Diversion the only one with a chance to beat Mo Moves, but Mo Moves is still clear. And Mo Moves, he's going to break the maiden. It was his day today. Mo Moves by 2.5. Second home was Golden Diversion. Third, Strasse. Fourth, Big Andy Mort or Strickland.
Mo Moves 16th time, the charm for Steve Asmussen with Son Keith.
Tell you, where else, as you said to me on a Thursday afternoon, can you see 2 titans of the game like Wayne Lucas and Steve Asmussen battling it out in the stretch here, and Keith Asmussen, the up-and-coming rider, getting the job done. A tough beat for second for Strauss. I was very glad I only bet a little to win and not some exactas with him in second because he did all the running. I'm not sure.
Very close.
That was close. It felt like Golden Diversion got second. We'll see.
All right, we'll keep you posted on that. Back to New York here. 7th race coming up, and a look at Timely Conquest, the 8-5 favorite. Let's go down to Mig.
Yeah, guys, and looking at the 5 Timely Conquest coming off that huge effort. Looks terrific. Every time I look at a horse that's coming off a big effort, I, kind of want to see if there's any regression, if something, if they, kind of lightened up from it. I'm not seeing it. I think Timely Conquest looks terrific off of that big effort in the mud last time. I like the turn back for her last time, and she's a filly that has a lot of speed on a day when speed is very good. The 7 Fra Diavolo is definitely the horse to beat. Adding blinkers also has some speed, but this is a case where I think you really got to be aggressive and basically throw down the gauntlet to what you want to do. I don't think anybody should allow anybody else to dictate terms to them. And, the 5 Timely Conquest with her speed drawn inside of Fra Diavolo, I think you got one way to go. Take it to him.
Riders up, and there's Trevor McCarthy getting a leg up on the favorite.
Let people know that one did get second at Oaklawn, by the way.
Yeah, 3-1-2-9 back in Hot Springs. For that 6th at Oaklawn. We'll have those prices coming up. Post-parade here in New York, and we'll kick things off with Mongolian Panther, trained by David Jacobson.
This horse actually ran okay last time, and 7 furlongs could be a better for her. I know she hasn't had great efforts. Maybe she's rounding back into form. I took her as an alternative, though 7-2, no bargain.
Virtual reality. She won her debut. She's coming off the bench for her 4-year-old return.
Yeah, she started her career with some promise. Thought she ran very well to be her second start, but since then she's been very disappointing. We'll see.
Chad Brown-Klarovich with Manny Franco, the 4 Triple P.
She is an outlier in this race and underlaid her current 22-1.
Here's the favorite, 9-5, Timely Conquest.
I don't trust this filly. I didn't like her effort 2 back. I thought she was very much with the track last time, and I think when she's run her big races, she's had the track in her favor.
This one could be quicker to the outside. Blinkers on Fra Diavolo.
But Fra Diavolo was on a good rail last time out, and I think it benefited her, and she may be faster, and she could make things difficult for Timely Conquest at the very least.
Biggest price on the board outside, Vienna Code.
Yeah. The funny thing is, Vienna Code is 25 to 1, and the 4 is 22 to 1. If somebody wants to let me bet at even money, I'll take a lot of money that Vienna Code finishes ahead of Triple P, and I don't think you want to do that. Well, I mean, she looks a little faster, doesn't she?
Wish we offered that wager. There's the 5.
I do too.
2 to 1, not the favorite anymore. Let's go back to February the 3rd and that basically Gates of Wire win.
Inside speed, very dangerous. The field scratched down. She was the controlling speed and just able to control on the front end, had everything her own way. And horses in those situations will often run exaggerated efforts. I'm not saying she's untalented, but I think there are some questions because that win in Saratoga was on a track that was very kind to speed, and I think that enhanced her effort. Now, her debut in the mud was a good one because she did not have a great trip, and she overcame some trouble to win. So she did show some quality there, and she certainly answered, and she has some. But I'm just not inclined to take short-priced horses that have had good trips.
Took a bit of a weird step right there. 2 to 1 on Timely Conquest. Maybe just saw something on the racetrack. The 7, Frown Diablo, so we know she's quick. Blinkers going on today, and when she has been, well, in her one win, when she was successful, she was on the front end. 8 to 5 favorite now.
I'm going to tell you something. The Mike Maker barn with short-priced horses over the last couple of weeks has had some very bad performances, and that does concern me. Now, she should be the speed of the speed, and I wonder if the public is thinking this track is extremely kind of speed, which it might be, but I still say that the results have been extremely logical throughout the day, and I don't think you can unequivocally say that speed is carrying on this track because we've seen a lot of short-priced logical types getting it done with good trips. So I don't know the track is carrying horses home or not, and I'm hopeful it isn't, and I think at least with Timely Conquest in here, and I just question her, and I'm just not sold on how good she is because even her good effort last time was with the racetrack, with the flow of the track, the bias.
3 to 2 favorite, Speedy Frau Diablo, Timely Conquest major player as well. And then there's the team of Chad Brown and Manny Franco trying to collect another one today, Mig.
Yeah, and I really, again, kind of the last race, a horse that didn't really stand out to me in the paddock, but really liked what I saw on the racetrack. And I think 7/8 is a great distance for her. All the dirt races have been pretty good. And, her last effort was back in November. Now she's a 4-year-old, and horses do a lot of changing and developing. I think she could have a big step forward. And if there's a cutthroat duel between, the 5-horse and the 7, Timely Conquest and Fra Diablo, it certainly could benefit her. But I'm going with the 5, Timely Conquest. I do think that speed is good today. I do think the track is leaning that way. I'm not saying that it's the only way horses can win. There was a horse that did win from off the pace, and we saw one horse get beat a nose to a Chad Brown runner coming from off the pace. But I just saw Timely Conquest has kind of shown that she's a sprinter. She's already proficient at 7 furlongs. And I like the way she looks coming out of the last effort. So I know she's the favorite, but I guess I got to simplify it and go, who would I want to ride in this spot? And I just think that if I was on the 5 Timely Conquest, I would try to control things from flag fall to that's all.
It'll be hard to do with a 7 in there. I mean, unless Dylan can be a little passive at times. So if Trevor McCarthy seizes the bull by the horns and aggressive, maybe the 7 won't go after her, but I have trouble seeing that, and especially because the track has been kind to rough speed horses. I still maintain that we have not seen some very logical closer not be able to get into the race. We have not seen an inordinate amount of super competitive races on this card. I think you have to be very careful about and I'm not criticizing Richie. I don't mean that. I mean one of us, any of us, have to be careful about labeling a track one way when all the logical horses are getting it done with fairly easy trips. So we'll see.
See how this speed battle develops between the 5 and the 7. Mongolian Panther, meanwhile, from the rail. Isaac Castillo, David Jacobson, 4 to 1 right now.
I'm just hoping that she's rounding back into form. Her last effort, I think, a little better than that 67 buyer suggests. And I'm just hoping maybe the 7 furlongs will help her. And she does have past races that are fast enough to make her competitive. And I am not enamored by either the 5 or 7 here.
Loading up. Here we go. Who will take command early? Well, the 5 now back to even money after losing favoritism for a bit. Public settling on this one. Trevor McCarthy for Mark Hennig. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call, the 7th from Aqueduct.
2 out. Frau Diablo and Vienna Code. And in. All set. And they're off. Good break towards the outside from Frau Diablo. Also, Vienna Code has got early speed, and there's Virtual Reality trying to join them. But out quickly there, Dylan Davis. And Frau Diablo is clear, is up by now 2. In between horses working forward as Timely Conquest is chasing this leader at the rail still as Virtual Reality is now challenging for that second spot as they work out the backstretch. Vienna Code is out wider, so is Triple P, who works way out there in the center of the racetrack towards the tail end. That's going to be Mongolian Panther, who's the trailer. They work up the backstretch and they're chasing Frau Diablo. Frau Diablo's got the lead. Virtual Reality is still at the rail here, patiently ridden as they work to less than 4 furlongs left to travel. 23-1 for the opening quarter mile. Timely Conquest is now all in here from third, trying to move forward. Mongolian Panther with a ground-saving trip. Vienna Code is trying to keep up, and Triple P is the trailer. 46-4 for that half-mile time, and they continue to chase Frau Diablo. Virtual Reality fully extended here from second. Mongolian Panther making mild ground so far. Frau Diablo kicks away, and Frau Diablo is doing it nicely. It's Frau Diablo who's quickly up by 3. Frau Diablo is widening this margin. Virtual Reality continues to chase this leader. These two still clear inside the final furlong. Mongolian Panther is alone in third. Frau Diablo almost putting away. Virtual Reality continues to chase, but Frau Diablo with the speed is holding him off. And Frau Diablo, Dylan Davis, will pick up another one. Frau Diablo wins it over Virtual Reality, Mongolian Panther, and Vienna Code. Final running time, 1:25-1.
Frau Diablo easily took command on the front end, goes gate to wire for the win with the blinkers on under Dylan Davis.
Yeah, and I think there's a bit of an argument after a race like this that just making up ground is hard because nobody could make up any ground at any point. On the other hand, this horse got comfortable on the front end. Virtual Reality at least showed up today, something she hadn't done in a little bit of a while. I don't know. And the 5, just a big disappointment here. The favorite, Timeless Conquest. She's a horse that really, so far, has sort of needed things to go her own way to get it done, for the most part.
5 became the favorite for a moment. Goes off Coast second choice at 5-2 on the board. Dylan for Mike Maker and Ocean Way Stables.
Diminishing length win is Virtual Reality, or length and a half win. And my one never cut into it. Might be tough on this track. Not really sure, but there is a good argument for it. I think after that race, the way they just sort of merry-go-rounded around the track.
Dominant victory, Frau Diablo. Now 2 wins, 6 career starts, 7-3-1-8. And a minor upset here in the 7th. With, again, the speed of the field dominating here in the 7th at Aqueduct. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. We'll set up the nightcap when we return. More on the way from Oaklawn as well. It's Frau Diablo with Dylan Davis here in the 7th at Aqueduct. Back with you on America's Day at the Races. Another horse goes gate to wire. This time it's Frau Diablo under Dylan Davis for the victory.
Kind of put this race away at the start, wouldn't you say? The way he was able to just control on the front end.
Got such a huge lead early.
Yep.
Winner's Circle lead-in brought to you by Fasig-Tipton's March digital sale. Bidding open March 7th through March 12th. Learn more at digital.fasigtipton.com. Let's get digital. $7 for the win. Frau Diablo, nice change. 7-3-1-8. Let's go down to Mig.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Got a happy ownership group here. Steven Schwartz and Jay Oranger. Jay, Frau Diablo added the blinkers today. Whose idea was that?
Well, Mike said, we wanted to add a little more speed into her. It was the perfect track for more speed, and she just galloped.
And was that the instructions going in, just go to the lead?
Just go to the lead. We knew we were going to be the speed of the race, and perfect ride by Dylan. And she took care of the rest.
She was impressive today. You've had a lot of success here. Peter Bianchi, a mare she has a foal already on the ground, a yearling by Uncle Mo, and she's soon to have a Curlin colt.
Yes.
Or a Curlin foal.
Well, it's actually a filly, we know already, and that's in May. He's going to be born in May, the Curlin. So, we've had a lot of fun with Pieri Bianchi, and, every time another one of our horses win, it's very exciting. So.
I know you like the action, particularly with the New York Rangers. How do you feel about our team?
They're playing as good as they could be playing, so just ready for the playoffs. So once we get there, anything could happen.
Thanks so much, guys.
Rounders, Frau.
See, I wasn't sure I wanted him in this. But anyway, guys, back to you.
Got to get that Rangers talking. They put together 10 in a row at one point. That was amazing.
Mick's been very quiet about the Rangers this year.
Yeah, he has. He's been to a few games, though.
Sure he has.
That's what it feels like to win any kind of race. Good to be in that winner's circle. That is the place you want to be. Frau Diablo, they didn't have to sweat that one out too much.
No, the way she broke and just put the field away at the start and able to control on the front end, it made it very hard for those behind her. Their Virtual Reality ran a decent race to be second, but she just controlled from start to finish. Speed's an advantage. It's an interesting thing. You were just talking to me off camera. The speed in the last race on paper is clearly Bar 14, who's a fast horse. This is the longest shot in the board in doubles. The double's $30 for $1. Suggests this horse could be in the 6 to 8 to 1 range. And on paper is the controlling speed. And this will be a rare speed in this card that may not be the best looking horse on paper.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what this horse does. And I wonder if the board will adjust because of a perception on how the track may be playing.
Yeah, biggest price win pool as well right now. It's early.
But the double suggests it could stay that way.
Cross country pick 5 follow along. Swiftsure kicks it off. Frau Diablo in leg 2. We'll have the 8th from Aqueduct and then races 7 and 8 from Oaklawn.
I got a must use in the 7th at Oaklawn. I'm very interested in Just Be Happy, who comes out of a killer maiden field up at Saratoga first time out. The way Ken McPeak's horse has been running, I would not preclude this horse to improve a lot.
Field for the 8th from New York. Speed, we were talking about Bar 14. Kendrick Carmouche will be aboard for Bruce Brown off since early January. Favorite, though, right now, Daddy Knows for Wayne Potts. First off the claim, just claimed off of Ray Handel.
I'm going to say it right now. I don't think Daddy Knows has a chance in this race. This is a horse that resents being inside of other horses and wants to drift out as much as possible. And now drawing the rail and inside, Lane Leslie is going to have his hands full with a horse that I think is in a lot of trouble breaking the inside. It's a very bad short price.
Speaking of the man who will pilot Daddy Knows, Lane Leslie, he grew up here in New York in the Jockstrom, the Paddock, and the Winner's Circle, where his dad, Mike, won close to 4,500 races in his career, always knowing that he wanted to follow in Dad's footsteps. While the two never expected to be working together, now that Dad is retired from the saddle, it offered an opportunity to jumpstart Lane's career.
For jockey Lane Leslie, it wasn't a matter of if, but when he would fulfill his dream of riding races.
Being a jockey is the only thing I've ever wanted to do. I mean, I was good in school, I played sports, like any normal kid, but there was no plan B for me. I just wanted to be a jockey, grow up watching my dad here at Aqueduct, Belmont, and, you know, it was just always a treat to come out to the races. I love horses in general, and I have the physique for it, so this is what I was born to do.
Even his father, former rider and now his agent, Mike Luzzi, knew it was just a matter of time.
If he wasn't in school, he was in the jockey's room. So he kind of grew up in a jockey's room and was always around it and always wanted to be here. He learned to ride on the Equicizer before he ever rode a real horse. But he did start getting on horses right at Belmont Park. He went to Floral Park Memorial across the street, and when he started working, he would work in the morning first and then go to high school.
As Lane's career expanded, the two worlds collided in Texas before one special afternoon in Queens.
I went to Texas for 10 days and rode with him for the 10 days, and that was an experience. We actually rode one race here.
There was somebody else named on the horse that I ended up riding, but for whatever reason, they needed a jockey, and they loaded us in the gate at the same time, and we just kind of looked over, and you know, you couldn't really believe it, but at the same time, you're focused on doing your job, and we just both had a passion for race riding and horse racing in general. It was really cool.
When it came time for Mike to call it a career, he never expected to become a full-time agent, especially for his son.
I'll start by saying I never thought I'd be an agent or wanted to be an agent. You know, it was kind of a surprise to me. I was in Saratoga and getting on horses, and when the horses left in November, matter of fact, I was the last one on the track exercising a horse. I went a few weeks like kind of bummed out that the horses were gone. And that's when Lane came up with the idea to be his agent.
I needed something to get me started, and he was wrapping up his career and needed something to do. And it was always something we joked about, how we would never do what we're doing now, working together, father and son. And it's just kind of how the cards were played. We both love this profession. We both love horse racing. It was almost meant to be.
The name Luzzi has become a staple in New York racing over the last 30 years. And it doesn't look like that will change anytime soon.
I'm home, I'm here. I grew up a few miles from here, and I've done a little traveling in my time, but I'm home now. I'm excited to be here and enjoying the ride.
Wow, cool story. Dad representing his son here after he just he was still riding just a few months ago.
Yeah, I think, Mike, you're right. Yeah, Mike's ridden different times recently. He seems to be doing well as an agent. We wish Lane a lot of luck. I'm a big fan of Mike. He's a terrific guy. How could I not like a guy that likes the Grateful Dead?
And Lane only about $100 million away in career earnings.
Well,
which today's purses.
He's young. He's got plenty of time
to be there in a few
there.
months.
I remember when Mike first came here. You know, when he first came up, he and Edgar Prado both came up from Maryland to start riding here. And Edgar actually went back to Maryland, and Mike stayed here. Now, Edgar ended up moving his book to New York a few years later, and the biggest catalyst for that actually was our friend the Mig getting injured, and Edgar came to Prado to ride those Kimmel horses back then when Richie broke his arm, and he stayed here. But Mike's the one who stuck it out longer and stayed in New York when Edgar went back to Maryland.
We're starting to say Lane's name a lot more on this show. So up-and-coming young rider, and now Dad, his agent. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. We got more coming up from Oaklawn. 7th race, maiden claiming event. 2-turn mile ahead, and Andy might have a special play coming up in this race, who currently 5-1 right now. I'll take it. We'll be back with that right after this.
Good Magic is off to a meteoric start at stud, having sired 2 Eclipse Award finalists in first crop Kentucky Derby champion Mage and second crop Grade 1 winning 2-year-old Muth. With just 2 crops to race, Good Magic ranked 21st on the general sire list with nearly $10 million in progeny earnings. Mage's graded stakes winning full brother Dornoch is one of the leading contenders for this year's Kentucky Derby. Good Magic, the classic sire.
General admission tickets are on sale now for the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival at Saratoga, June 6th through 9th. Admission is just $10 on Thursday as well as on Sunday for this historic event. Visit BelmontStakes.com/tickets today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Back on America's Day of the Races on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. Good to have you with us on this Thursday afternoon, 7th here at Oaklawn. 2-turn mile, $125,000 maiden claiming race. Expensive claiming tag if you want to put a claiming tag in for one of these.
You in for you thinking of which
I'm
one?
passing.
Yeah, that's right. You want to claim the 9, you told me, Mr. Scatter.
Mr. Scatter, never been on dirt. Never know. Riley Mott trains Rocket 88. It's going to kick off our post parade. The one
tries to stretch out. Riley has not had success stretching out since starting his training career.
Okay, sprint though, 2 back. Third beat 8
Yes,
lengths. Got a 71 buyer. New gelding at a big number. But some quick works too. Coming back, the 2 money shot.
Moves up a little bit in class off a solid enough effort last time.
Kenny McPeak with a second-time starter, debuted at Saratoga.
Taking some money, working well, and comes out of an extremely live race at Saratoga. He's my play. Trainers having a big meet, too.
Kenny McPeak.
He's doing so well, I can't make fun of him.
Gamekeeper D. Wayne Lucas.
He's kind of the worst to beat, but he's also 0 for 11.
Manfredi, Chris Hartman barn trains.
Well, Chris wins a lot of races, but he better improve this one. Probably has speed.
Bullet work February 27th as well. The 6th, top of the street, Manny Esquivel.
Yeah, I actually ran a big figure last night last time and makes him a contender off that race.
Another Kenny McPeak horse, the 6th. The 7th, first-time starter for Brad Cox.
Yeah, not taking a lot of money, and Brad not that proficient with routers first time out, but not bad, actually, the numbers.
Here's the one trying dirt for the first time after 2 synthetic starts.
Total wild card for a very good trainer, Nacho Correas.
Chun Money, little interesting. Faced Mystic Dan Southwest winner first time out.
The big question with him, Greg, is can Arrieta clear from the outside? Because he is faster than these early.
And then 1901 outside Steve Asmussen, second-time starter with his son aboard.
Steve has some good numbers stretching out second time. He's a wild card, tough post. Maybe he's better longer.
5 minutes away, 7th at Oaklawn. Let's go to Paul.
A tough event here. And I kind of in agreement with Andy in here that you need to take a shot. I thought the 3 was a very, very interesting prospect in here. The horse is warming up tremendous, looks tremendous in the post parade. And this is a horse that worked great guns at Fairgrounds and then came over here. And then, another good work just, right before this race. Now, hasn't run since September, and that does worry you a little bit. But everything's getting thrown at this horse. And the horse looks tremendous. Just makes a tremendous appearance on the racetrack. So at 9-2, you don't really want to see 9-2 from 12-1. Maybe the horses will drift up a little bit. Now the 4, Andy's right. The horse to beat on paper, the horse to beat on numbers. Whatever kind of metric you're using, the 4 has the best numbers to this point going into this race. But 0 for 11 with no second place finishes. I do think Nicky Juarez is a more aggressive jockey than Harry Hernandez and Keith Asmussen, who's ridden this horse the last couple times. So maybe he's going to press a little bit more forward. The horse is backing up from 1 1/8 and 1 1/16, so maybe there's a little bit more left in the tank at the end. I just don't know if you want to take 5-2. Now, the 6th, top of the street, this is a horse that tried going long at the maiden special weight level, and it just did not work out. Now they went down to the maiden 100,000 level, even the maiden 50 before that, but going long, this horse got beat. And, it was a very good race. I mean, if you think about it, he only got beat by 3/4 of a length. They're almost 10 lengths clear of the 3rd place finisher. So it wasn't like he kind of gave it up. He was just running with the winner. I think the winner caught him by surprise a little bit. You could see that he's trying to run on with this horse. So I thought this was a useful effort from the 6. Now, can you repeat it? I mean, if he repeats it, I think he's the one to beat in here at 7-2. I will say this, the 7 at 6-1, Militant, 8-1 on the line, I thought looked good. Was warming up on his own. Looked like he was handling everything for a first-time starter. And then, Greg, I am going to land on Chun Money And the only reason why is, I talked to Donnie Von Hemmel about this Son of Matoli, and he always thought this horse would be better on the stretch out. And they've tried him going short. They do get the 10-hole with Francisco Arrieta. Like Andy says, you're going to probably have to clear from that outside post. But I think getting the Lasix, I know this horse has got a lot of talent. Those are 2-year-old numbers. Usually 3-year-old numbers will step up. And I'm getting the price at 8-1. I just think that there's a lot of different fillies in here that can move up. And I think the 10 has a chance to move up at that price. I'm not saying that the horse is, the best in the race, because I do think you have to beat the 4 in here. I do think the 3 is a good proposition. But I think at the price, Chen Money is the horse to bet.
See if that one is able to clear from that outside post as we get back to New York for the nightcap. Daddy Knows, claimed by Wayne Potts. 5-2 favorite right now in a race that, still 6-1 on the horses going to be in front. Let's go down to Mig.
Yeah, and I really do think, there is 2 speeds in here, and the 2 Daddy Knows is certainly one of them, and he's a horse that has a habit of trying to bear out, and particularly from that inside post. Andy, talked about it. That's a difficult position for Lane Luzie to be in. But I do think the one option that he has, particularly from that post, is to go forward. And again, on a track that I think is playing very kind to speed. He is a horse that possesses speed. He looks terrific. He's a horse that really holds his condition for as quirky and as difficulties he can be at times. But he looks fantastic here in the paddock. And I think he's got to make use of that speed and allow him to go forward. And then if you're clear, you can allow him to drift. You don't have to get into a fight with him. You don't have to get into his mouth, because he does seem like a horse that when you have to set the bit in his mouth, he kind of hangs on you and gets out even more. Katie Davis has done a tremendous job with him. She kind of knew his idiosyncrasies. But I think, Lane is certainly a guy that does his homework, watches replays. I think he's got one option: go from the inside. The 3-horse Bar 14. He's coming out of, sprints, 7/8 races where he's shown speed. You get Kendrick Carmouche, you would, expect him to show speed again. He looks terrific from a physical perspective, as all of Bruce Brown's horses do. His horses always look terrific. Even, he doesn't win at a high percentage, but his horses could not look any better. He came up under John Forbes and, certainly a top horseman, and I think he learned his lessons well there. And the other horse that really caught my attention here in the paddock from a physical perspective is the 7 Bourbon Calling. Man, this horse just could not look any better. As well turned out as you'd like to see a horse. Got that rich hydrated coat, making a really nice impression here, guys.
I'm going to disagree with Richie. I understand in principle, yes, if the 2 could get clear, he could dictate how he runs. I don't think without the 3 not getting out of the gate, I'm not even sure even if the 3 didn't get out of the gate that he could outrun the 7 horse that Richie mentioned. I don't think Daddy Knows anymore is fast enough to be the speed in this race, and I think he's a horrendous 2-1 favorite.
Meanwhile, there's Jose Lezcano. He's, on Bourbon Calling, an 8-time winner, but it certainly looks like the 3 is going to control things on the front end.
Yeah. I'm not sure that the 2 could even be second early in this race without an incident at the gate with the 3 and 7. See what happens. I don't think the 2's just that fast anymore. I'm not even sure that he's faster than Coffrey. To be honest, I think it's reasonably close. We'll see. I think he's a very bad favorite.
We're being told that this is the slight delay, Bar 14. Saddle adjustment there, and there's Kendrick helping out.
Kendrick doing double duty in here.
Does it all.
He's amazing. He really is.
Well, gets it just how he likes it. And we'll see if he can go gate to wire again, coming up to close out the card. We go back to Oaklawn.
Not much price in my horse, just be happy at 4-1. He must be everybody's idea of a good thing, which is usually a bad sign.
Meanwhile, Gamekeeper, the 4, 2-1 favorite, 0-for-11 we talked about for D. Wayne Lucas, coming out of a race against winners where he beat 3 horses that day. Harlow Cap won that race. He was 4th, beat 8 lengths, but he has been beat against this similar type of company plenty of times.
Yeah, one thing I'll say is he's never been a short price before. The shortest price ever been is 5-1 in his second start, so he is meeting a softer field probably he's been running against, but still tough to take at a short price for me. But obviously the fastest horse on paper going in.
That 10-horse steps in. We'll see if he can get to the front from that outside post. Not too long till that turn comes up. See if he's able to save some ground.
Is this a short stretch race?
It is actually a
You
short
love the
stretch
short
finish. Matt Dinnerman with the call. Here's the 7th from Oaklawn.
Begin the late pick 3 here. This race starts and ends right here at the 16th pole. We're ready to go, and they're off. And a picture-perfect start for all the runners. Braven on the far outside is prominent. Money Shot has some speed. Shun Money between that pair. Those 3 are quickest. Braven on the outside, getting over into about the 3 path into the turn as a head lead on Money Shot, who's right there to the inside now, retaking the lead. And Money Shot's in charge by a length. Braven taken back to second. Rocket 88, very keen behind the speed. Tugging pretty hard here. A joint second. A gap of 2 to Chun Money. Off the pace now in 4th, just ahead of Top of the Street. The first-time starter Militant and the Gary and Mary West colors are next, racing alongside of Manfredi. They're a length in front of Gamekeeper. Just Be Happy is second to last. Mr. Scatter, the gray horse, the early trailer. A dozen lengths from first to last down the backstretch. Money Shot and Rocco Bowen carve out the fractions. 3/4 of a length ahead. Rocket 88 now off the rail and is running in second on the tail of that leader. Now there's a gap of 5 or 6 to Braven, who's dropping back, calling it an afternoon. Gamekeeper has passed a number of runners, claims third into the turn. Militant is next with Top of the Street and Shun Money. Braven with that party, but backing right out of it. A gap of 3 to Manfredi, Mr. Scatter, and Just Be Happy are trailing. Around the far turn, Money Shot is all alone on the lead. Rocket 88's dropped anchor. Gamekeeper into second. Looks like a 2-horse race. This race will end at the 16th pole. Money Shot and Rocco Bowen. Gamekeeper Nick Juarez on the outside trying to wear him down. It's Money Shot. A furlong to go. A length lead. Gamekeeper continues to grind away, and he's coming on, grabs the lead, and Gamekeeper breaks the maiden. Gamekeeper over Money Shot. Militant was third, and Top of the Street ran fourth.
Gamekeeper with the victory here, 12th time out. Maiden breaker for D. Wayne Lukas. Owns part of this horse.
Speed holding at Aqueduct, speed holding at Oaklawn as well, and Money Shot almost got the money, but Gamekeeper and Lukas and Nick Juarez outgame him to get the win. Nobody else was close.
D. Wayne Laurie Lucas owned Gamekeeper. Nick Juarez, as you mentioned aboard, dropping out of an allowance race to get that victory.
Big win.
Back to New York, and this is the race to close out this Thursday card here in South Ozone Park, New York. $25,000 claiming 1-turn mile. It's the 4-horse First Glimpse for the Rick Dutrow barn, moving to his barn for the first time. 2-1 favorite. As I say that, favoritism changes to this one. Daddy Knows.
Yeah, in my opinion, he is an absolutely horrendous favorite here. I think he gets a bad post. I don't think he can make the lead, and I don't like his chances at all.
We jump to Coffray, Dylan Davis for trainer Ray Handel.
I won't be surprised when he's aggressively ridden. Ray's watching how the track's playing.
4 went by. First Glimpse for Dutrow.
I think he's the worst to beat. He's my choice in here. He's a little, well, now he's favored in here. He's got to overcome the track, though.
Bourbon calling. We saw Jose Lezcano in the paddock. He rides for Owen Garber.
Yeah, we'll see if he's aggressive or not early.
Blinkers on. Majestic Eagle.
He's actually got some decent dirt races. He's got kind of a wild card for David Jacobson. First time for David, and they employed the claiming waiver for him.
And the speed, who got that saddle adjustment from Kendrick late to the party here, bar 14.
I mean, if you are convinced it's a speed track, I don't know how you're not betting on the 3. I'm still wondering if we're going to see a more contentious race, a more contentious pace one of these days, but this is a horse you have to say his chances are probably at least helped by the racetrack.
Let's go down to Mig.
Yeah, guys, listen, I'm not going to pick him, but I think Daddy Knows is making a really nice impression on the racetrack. It's going to be interesting to see how Lane handles the situation and, you know, how aggressive he is from the inside and how much Daddy Knows cooperates with him. But he did make a nice impression. I'm going with the Ray Handel trainee, Coffray. This horse kind of, again, you know, I said it earlier about a horse, just changed. Once he got the rider up, he kind of puffed up, got bigger, got on his toes, warmed up really, really aggressively and with a lot of energy. And I just, again, he won me over in the post-parade, Coffray. He wasn't necessarily on my radar, but this is a horse that absolutely, completely changed. Did just a complete turnaround once he got on the racetrack. So I'm going with the 5 Coffray, who's taking some money now at 9-2.
The concern with Coffray is the wet track. Now, this horse ran very well on a wet track going back to June of 2022, but his last race, better horse or not, a wet track was a disaster, and that's the concern with him. Not that he's not good enough to win. I had picked him second. I picked the race 4-5-3.
All right, finale coming up. Favoritism going all over the place in here. It's First Glimpse now for first time with Rick Dutrow.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a speed type, but if he runs well for Rick, Rick will have put a little more speed into him.
We expect to see the 3 controlling in front. His price continues to go up 7-1. No belief that bar 14.
He breaks. He's in front
get it done.
here. He's quick, this horse. Really quick.
Chris Griffin, nightcap from Aqueduct.
Goes in. All set. And they're off. Tightly bunched break there, but speed towards the inside from Daddy Knows. And now here comes bar 14. Bar 14 is the leader. It's bar 14 with First Glimpse right up there with the early pace. Daddy Knows gets off the rail, is now into that 3 path here as they get set to work out of the chute. Outside of that, Rivals Cafre, that's the leading 4. Second to last is going to be Majestic Eagle with the trailer. Bourbon Calling. Pretty tightly bunched here, but they're chasing bar 14. Is in control, controlling this speed at 23.53 for the opening quarter mile. Cafre is now alone here in second and progressing forward. That's Majestic Eagle. Back there in fourth comes First Glimpse, who's at the rail. Bourbon Calling starts to make a rally from the back. Daddy Knows is drifting towards the far outside right now. Daddy Knows just tough to handle, is at the back of the field as they get set to work into that far turn. 47 seconds flat for the half-mile time. They haven't caught bar 14 yet. It's bar 14 and Cafre. They are well clear now 3 lengths in front of Majestic Eagle, who's all in. At the rail, First Glimpse starts to move forward. Bourbon Calling is trying to rally, and Daddy Knows, still drifting out there, just not keeping up with the field, is far back. They get set to reach the top of the stretch, and Kendrick Carmouche has got bar 14 on the front end, and bar 14 now kicks for home. It's bar 14 who's back up by 2. Cafre continues to chase this leader. At the rail, that's First Glimpse. But the far outside is going to be Bourbon Calling with a late rally, but bar 14 is still very strong up front. It is bar 14 approaching the 16th pole, still now 3-4 lengths, and widens that margin on the front end. Front end's been good, and bar 14 wins the finale. Bar 14 wins it, Cafre, then came First Glimpse, and Bourbon Calling. In 1 minute 38.44 seconds.
Speed continues to dominate, and somehow the speed of the race floats up to 8-1 at post time.
This is incredible. You know, normally horses like this, the crowd is smart enough to see that they're going to have an advantage. He was the clear speed. And the other advantage you had in this race was that you're supposed to pitch Daddy Knows, who for some reason was 2-1 in this race. And you could just see, even though, and it's not Lane Lovesey's fault, he actually got him a little off the rail, as Chris Griffin noted, but he has horses on his flank, and he doesn't like it, and he just basically sulked. Cafre ran well to be second. The 4 had no excuse to pick up second, maybe being towards the inside, but Kendrick got the front. He had the fastest horse, and you got 8-1 on the speed of the speed on a track that appeared to be playing speed all day long. It's almost remarkable.
It really is.
You and I both bet him, and neither one of us particularly liked him. I picked him third, but just because... How could you not at that price? At that price?
3, 5, 4, 7. At one point, he came down to 5-1, and then just kept floating up and up and up.
It was the biggest price in doubles, and he just didn't. People did not adjust. This is kind of one for the old days when you used to get those speed tracks and you bet horses that may or may not be the best horse, but I think at this point, you know, I was skeptical during the day, but I think you have to say. This was a day that you wanted to be forward.
8-1, Kendrick Carmouche. Another one goes gate to wire here. This one for Bruce Brown. First off the claim, 5th win for this 6-year-old. We'll have the prices when we come back to win Thursday afternoon for Kendrick Carmouche on bar 14 to close it out. Back on America's Day of the Races on Fox Sports 2. Look at downtown Hot Springs. Is that Paulie?
Which one, the bike or standing up on the top?
No, standing up in the back, yeah.
There's got to be a statue of Paulie. There will be eventually.
Spends enough time there.
Be eventually. I thought maybe it was in the geyser. Don't jump in.
Program brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Gamekeeper for D. Wayne Lucas with Nick Juarez as the favorite in career start number 12, the victory.
Ran him down to get the money. And it was way back to everybody else.
Gets by the 2 here for the win. Drops out of an allowance. That's aggressive spotting last time out from D. Wayne Lucas with this horse, but had some big performances in the running lines. Maybe this will, as they say, that light bulb will go on and bigger and better things for the Son of Honor code. $7 for the victory, 4276. Back to New York, bar 14. Kendrick, 2 wins on the card. He's always smiling. And he's smiling here on a racetrack that was seemingly playing well to speed, and he had the speed of the speed. Goes gate to wire here at 8-1 to close it out.
Yeah, I mean, he just went to the front, and Kendrick knew how the track was playing, and Kendrick took advantage of it.
Swiftsure in the 6 for Kendrick, gate to wire, and now bar 14 in the finale, 7-5 and 8-1 on a 2-win day.
Big prize. Listen, we did try to please you a little bit here. We did talk over and over again about how this horse was an overlay as the controlling speed on the racetrack. And this was one, if you're paying attention to the racetrack, you had to bet a few dollars on him, especially when you had a horse at 2-1 that really had no chance.
3, 5, 4, 7. And cross country gets its biggest number. Still surprising. With 1 leg to go in the 8th at Oaklawn.
Yep.
So pretty formful with the exception of that race. Although we'll see how people may have played that horse a little bit more in the cross country. We'll see how it plays out.
I don't know. I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
That horse took no money in the double. Why should he take money in the Big 5? Good luck if you're alive.
All right, I'm going to be joined by a new partner here. Saying so long to Andy. See you tomorrow for Friday coverage.
Look forward to it. Have fun with the Mig.
All right, yeah, Mig going to join me on set after a timeout. We'll be back. More coming up. Feature from Oaklawn ahead. We'll get into the 8th. First allowance level condition, 2-turn mile. When we come back, and it's insensitive for trainer Doug Anderson, the 9 right now with the favorite. Stay with us.
The son of Run Happy, Nutella Fella, has won the Hopeful.
Eclipse champion Run Happy, price for value, and standing strong at Claiborne Farm.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Jackie's Warrior quickly in front here by 2 lengths. Here comes Jackie's Warrior up the inside to take over the lead from Life is Good. Jackie's Warrior remains undefeated here at Saratoga, and he wins an unprecedented Grade 1 stakes at the Spa for the 3rd straight season.
McLean's Music, I mean, faster than horses are built to go.
Into the turn they go, and McLean's Music has the advantage.
I mean, he is. It's just plain and simple.
And now it's McLean's Music finding more, and McLean's Music opening up through the lane. 4, 5, going to be 6 by the time he hits the wire. Very, very impressive out debut here by McLean's Music.
You know, 1 start and 114 Beyer.
Unofficial result, winner number 6, McLean's Music.
Unfortunately, an injury would end the racing career of McLean's Music after just one breathtaking race.
Easy to define. He's just faster than all other horses. His mother, Force Music, was the same way. Stone Street and their unbelievable record of not risking anything. And then, you know, John Sakura stepping up and giving him the stallion opportunity that he deserved. Could not possibly give people more credit than how they've handled the horse and what they've accomplished with him.
McLean's Music just it means so much to me. It's the first horse I did with Barbara Banke. I always say about soundness, you know, if a horse has an unfortunate injury, then I don't think that reflects soundness or unsoundness. You know, it can be. Somebody can pull out of nowhere and hit your car, doesn't make you a bad driver. Remarkable horse, did it on his own. Very proud of him.
Fortunately, a decade later, McLean's Music's progeny, like Jackie's Warrior, is exhibiting that same brilliance he showed on the track.
We have Jackie's Warrior because he was a son of McLean's Music, and knowing that brilliance was there and trying to get a chance to do it again.
And Jackie's Warrior remains undefeated here at Saratoga, and he wins an unprecedented Grade 1 stakes at the Spa for the 3rd straight season. Returning now is number 4, Jackie's Warrior, a 4-year-old bay colt by McLean's Music.
We continue with our Thursday coverage. America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2, brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. Brilliant but brief career, certainly, of McLean's Music. Joined by Richie Migliore here on the desk. Good to have you here upstairs. We get set for the last couple here from Oaklawn, including their feature.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a nice day of racing here at Aqueduct. It was getting a little colder outside, so I'm happy to be up here. It's a little warmer on the set, especially with the lights and in the warmth of you, Greg, for sure.
Always good to be with the MIG here. We're going to get the 8th here coming up. Get a look at this field. First allowance condition race, 2-turn mile here in race number 8. And, you know, went to break talking quickly, briefly about the 9 Insensitive. Still favored right now at 5-2. It took a little while for this horse, MIG, the Breaker Maiden. Took 9 career starts to finally get it done.
Yeah, it took her a while to get it done, but did it in style, and then backed it up with a good effort against winners on an off racetrack. So you like the fact that, all right, she didn't win against winners, but she was very competitive.
Post parade to kick things off. Muddy now. It's been sloppy most of the day, but now listed as muddy here. So a change in Hot Springs for this 8th race. Dream Streak we'll start with. And some big numbers here to the inside. Dream Streak for Cody Rosen, who will stretch out after 2 sprints coming back as a 5-year-old.
Yeah, should have good speed, particularly stretching back out off of those sprints, and is a 4-time winner as well.
Has seemed to handle muddy surfaces as well. We'll get that changed on our graphic. Muddy at Oaklawn. Change there. We'll see this one here in a moment.
Hope Paul's got some cover.
He does. He's been inside all day.
Okay. All right. Because, no, listen, when it gets inclement there, you feel it. I think it's almost like mentally you're not as prepared for it.
Here's the one. So Dream Streak, we'll see if this one can take them all the way around the track on the front end. The 2, Tyrona for Lindsey Schultz.
Yeah, another one coming out of sprints and has laid up close at times sprinting. Get the apprentice, Carlos Barbosa.
McLean Robertson, Make Me Believe, making her 5-year-old debut.
Well, I guess she's going to have to make a lot of people believe, not taking much money at 29-1.
Paris Style is for Kenny McPeak.
Yeah, Paris Style was really impressive when she broke her maiden going a mile here at Aqueduct. The last couple races, got to have to improve on.
More pace with the 6. She'll stretch back out for the Danny Pites barn. Here's the 7, My My.
Yeah, My My, more of a closing type. It's going to have to get faster.
Or My, maybe.
Oh, my.
52-1, Galib's Ranger.
Yeah, another big price, more of a closing type, though, in a race that is sporting a lot of speed.
Here's the favorite, Francisco Arrieta, aboard.
I like that she came back with a good effort against winners, and she's got the right style for the way this race should be run.
Xylophone with Chelsea Bailey.
Another closer in a race packed with speed. Big effort last time to just miss.
And it was the answer to our trivia question. Tampa Bay Derby winner to win the Kentucky Derby. Street Sense. This is daughter of Street Sense. Flashy lass.
Yeah, Keith Asmussen for his dad, Steve. And boy, how about Keith? Really kind of caught fire there at Oaklawn Park.
Yeah, my good fortune on the outside, Chris Hartman barn.
A really tough post, but a horse that certainly has races that puts her in the frame here. Just got to overcome that post.
So 6 minutes to post in this eighth. Let's look at the favorite. Still 5-2 on the board. And this was back on December 29th. 2 starts back. The maiden win, again, took 9 starts to finally do it, but did it stylishly when she finally broke through.
I think it's a really good way to put it, stylishly. And I like the way she strides. She kind of drops her head, really reaches out for a lot of ground and finishes. And you can see, even when she hit the front, she kind of, ears went up, wiggled around a little bit. She was reminded with the crop once or twice and really finished the deal. And then followed that up with a big effort against winners. I think there's a lot to like here.
5-2 favorite. 4-year-old filly for Doug Anderson. Let's go to Paulie for more.
Yeah, I repeat everything that Mig just said, because sometimes, when horses win maiden special weight races in first time against winners, that's the toughest for me. I mean, that's the toughest job for a horse, to face winners for the first time. And he franked that effort with a nice second place finish. So I think the barometer is the 9 horse in here, the horse to beat. Now, the outside horse to right outside the 9, the 10 Xylophone, is another horse in here with Chelsea Bailey. This horse launched from way out of it last time. Now, this horse has been in the Chris Hartman barn, but Burl McBride had this horse who is conditioning this horse. This horse had some of the most brutal beats. This horse had 3 races in a row where she lost by a nose, but she's always right there. So the 10 is a prominent foe in here. The 11 and the 12 are getting played. Those outside post positions are really, really tough. So the outside horses are getting played in here. Now, the 5 Peristyle, I heard Mig talk about Peristyle. This is a horse that was in New York, run some decent races with Junior Alvarado. You're wondering if this horse is better at a 1-turn or a 2-turn race, but the 2-turn races has been a 1.8 miles, was able to handle it and just missed, breaking her maiden, then finally broke her maiden by a ton of lengths, then went back out to the 1.8 miles. So Kenny McPeak obviously thought this filly could go a distance of ground. So maybe the cut back to a mile. It is still 2 turns, comes in here with a bullet drill. I would think the 5, is going to be making a nice little late run in here. And you're getting a good price at 4-1. So that would probably be my top selection in here. But my long shot is a 2, Tyrona. Not my Tyrona. I know you like that song, Greg. You played it at your wedding. But here's the thing. Lindsay Schultz, she is 39% from sprint to route. Talk to Kim Poole, who usually had this horse before. And Kim told me, listen, I've been trying to get this horse to go long. And every time they try to ride a race, I can't get in. This 2 has been meant to go long. And Lindsay claimed this horse. Now they're going long. You get the Bug Boy aboard, and you're getting 13-1.
Yeah, a little extra bonus. Thanks, Paul. I didn't make the wedding list. Sorry, that song. You get extra weight, 111 pounds in here, and that is incredible numbers on a stretch out.
Those are incredible numbers that Paul pointed out there. Perfidious information. And Carlos Barbosa, along with Joey Belmire, are 2 apprentices that have really impressed me at that Oaklawn Park meeting. It's interesting to watch when a young rider really starts to see a race. It's almost like their vision broadens, and I see that with these 2 young guys. And she's got speed with the break in the weights. You know what? At a big price, 12-1, I like Paul's long shot.
How long did it take for you as a young rider for things to kind of slow down and feel confident, see things happening?
I honestly think it was someplace over 100 mounts before I actually started to kind of understand the flow of a race more. It's just an interesting evolution, right? You ride your first race, it's a lot of dirt flying, yelling, not really sure. Everything's a blur. Then you ride, 20, you see it a little better. By 100, you start seeing it. Everybody's different. I'm just speaking for myself now. Ride 1,000, ride 10,000, ride 20,000. It's amazing when all of a sudden things slow down and it's in slow motion, and you could pick up every minute detail and how your peripheral vision even broadens. I think it's just that your mind learns to process things faster, so it feels like slow motion, even though the speed of it has not changed.
I'm sure Paulie felt the same way trying to hit a baseball. And the more you do it, things just looks like it's coming in slow motion almost.
I ran into something on YouTube yesterday, and anybody who is not familiar with Paul Lo Duca's baseball career, just put him in the search engine, and there's one. He tags two guys out at home back to back. It was just like phenomenal, and I'm going.
Know the play you're talking about, yeah.
It's just and I go, man, that's my friend. Like I'm so proud of him watching it, and I think it's just so cool that he's my friend.
And just an incredible contact hitter as well. Minute to post in this 8th coming up, and it's, 8-5 now on Insensitive. All the money coming in on this 4-year-old filly. First try against winners was very good, and, had been knocking on the door, too, even though it took 9 starts to break her maiden.
Yeah, it was very good, but, I mean, you do have to look at it. She still is only 1 for 10, and there are other horses in here with multiple wins, albeit most, for claiming tags, races that would still keep them eligible for this race. This is a, non-winners of 1 other than maiden, claiming, or starter. So, some other horses have a bit more of a winning habit. Xylophone just outside of her, Chelsea Bailey.
I'm surprised at that price. I was just going to bring that filly up. Mare, 6-1 on the 10.
Yeah, I mean, 6-1, and she has 6 wins in her career. I mean, she's honest. In the same condition last time, she finished with a flourish, just missed.
And her best performances have come on wet tracks.
Get a wet track again, and a race that really appears to have a lot of speed signed on.
Which could set it up perfectly for her. We will find out. Chelsea Bailey, the return call off the bench, too. I mean, she ran very good off the bench, so if she moves forward second off the layoff, more reason to like her. She's been first or second, talking about the 10 Xylophone. 13 times in 32 starts, but really seems like she's been rounding into much better form the last few starts. But public sticking with the 9, Insensitive. And meanwhile, the 2 Tyrona, 6-1 taking a lot of play. And you pointed out, look, Dream Streak stretching out. This horse actually, the one time, at least it shows up on the page that we have, going long, she won. And she's stretching out from sprints where she should be in front.
Yeah, particularly from the inside. And Harry Hernandez is a rider that is very, very good on the lead. Every rider has strengths and weaknesses, and obviously your best riders are chameleons, right? They have more strengths than weaknesses. But one of Harry's strengths, amongst many, and this is a guy who rode over 200 winners last year, is putting horses on the lead and nursing them along and getting a lot of run out of them.
13-1 right now. Third off the bench for Dream Streak from the rail. Will she control from the outset? It looks like she is the pace of this group. 9-5 favorite, though. Insensitive, the 9. Matt Dinnerman, the call with the 8th from Oaklawn.
Galib's Ranger, the gray. Make Me Believe in the purple and yellow. Insensitive coming up. Paris Style. Too Pretty, Xylophone. 2 back. Flashy Lass, My Good Fortune, the last pair to go into the gate. Flashy Lass goes in, My Good Fortune. Waiting for My Good Fortune in the black. Goes in. This race starts and ends at the 16th pole. We're ready to go. And Leroff, Dream Streak with an awkward break. Too Pretty to the front at once from the middle of the field, leads the way. Flashy Lass takes the second spot, Tyrona third, and Insensitive settles in fourth, approaching the turn. Dream Streak, after the bad beginning, is rushed up to run in the fifth position on the fence, racing alongside of Insensitive into the turn, and a 3-deep Xylophone not far off of that pair. Another length and a half to Paris Style, Make Me Believe side by side. They're two better than Gottlieb's Ranger. My is second to last, and My Good Fortune is the early trailer with 3/4 of a mile to go. The top pair square off on the lead. Too Pretty as a head lead here. Tyrona pressing from the outside. A gap of 2 to Flashy Lass, settling in a good spot third. She's 2 better than Dream Streak, racing inside of Insensitive, who's between horses. And a 3-deep Xylophone down the backstretch. Then Paris Style, Make Me Believe, as Dream Streak's the first one to give way. She's done. Gottlieb's Ranger is running next. And second to last, My Good Fortune is past My, who's dropped to the back. Into the far turn they dash. Too Pretty with a neck lead on Tyrona. Flashy Lass still third, getting closer around the far turn. 2.5 behind. On the inside, Insensitive's also producing a bid. She's down on the rail, searching for racing room. She's got run Insensitive as Flashy Lass makes a 3-wide blitz to the front. Flashy Lass hits the front at the top of the lane and kicks on. Flashy Lass, top of the lane, the one to run down. The early leaders have given way. Outside, Paris Styles into the second spot. Insensitive finds daylight on the rail. This race ends at the 16th pole. Paris Style is gobbling up Flashy Lass, and Insensitive diving forward on the inside. Insensitive and Paris Style photo finish. The heads were up and down. Paris Style outside, Insensitive inside with Flashy Lass third ho.
Another close one. The 5 Paris Style, the 9 Insensitive. Either 8-1 or 3-2 favorite. Let's take another look.
And this was a good horse race. Paris Style making that run on the outside. Julien Leperoux. Insensitive dives down to the inside, heads up and down on the wire. Wow. I think we need Paul's help here.
Best of the Bob to the 9, maybe, but I don't know who got that nose down at the right time.
Watching it the second time, I thought the gray horse on the outside, Paris Style, got the best of it. I can't call that. We need Paul's help.
He's rarely wrong. Paul LaDuca, how'd you see it?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I need the 5. Obviously, I like the 5 a little bit at 8-1. The 9 got every bit of this Bob, guys. And it's one of those things that we saw earlier at Aqueduct when the favorite for Chad Brown got the best of the Bob. The 5 was by the 9 in here. And the more I look at it, guys, I do think, yowza, I do think this is either the 9 or it's a dead heat, and they just put up the 9, 9-5.
We have had some incredibly close finishes today. Another one here in this 8th from Oaklawn. Francisco Arrieta just out-dueling Julien Leperoux and Paris Style for the win.
That was a really good horse race, and it's a game of inches and heads bobbing up and down.
I mean, as a rider, what can you do in that situation to get every extra ounce out of your mount?
Well, you can't inhibit a horse's natural rhythm. You can't make them drop their head at that moment. You just got to hope that you're the one on that good bounce and hold them together, not overdo it.
Ever aware in a stretch duel, knowing that, I mean, you don't know, I guess, when that wire is going to come up, but that you're going to be on the wrong side of a Bob?
I would say 95% of the time, though, riders know when they win or lose those.
Let's go back to Paul.
With winning trainer here, Doug Anderson and Insensitive. I said, Doug, never a doubt.
Yeah, it was. It was in doubt there. I mean, she tried her ass off.
Yeah. What's been the difference from this filly? Going long, she's really changed in her last 3 starts.
She just matured and stuff. I mean, we always thought she could run last year a little bit, and the more we run her, the better she's gotten.
Francisco Arrieta cutting that corner made the whole difference, no?
Oh, yeah, he did. He saved the ground. He got a little stop down there, but got through and made a good ride, and just happy as hell.
Congratulations. Go get your picture taken. Doug Anderson gets the job done with his Caroon filly, who gets the Bob at the wire.
So close. And, yeah, Francisco Arrieta, nice job by Paul to pick that up. Cutting that corner, and that probably did make the difference.
Absolutely. Again, heads up and down. Two fillies that just ran too good to lose, really. I mean, it was a race that didn't deserve a loser. And, Nice ride by Francisco Arrieta. Nice ride by Julian Leparoux. You know, just because you lose by a nose doesn't mean it wasn't a good ride. You know, it's frustrating, Greg, when your body is a little bit in front of the other rider's body, and sometimes that'll lead you into the feeling that you won, but it doesn't. None of that matters. It matters where the nose is at the wire.
Tough one. If you back the 5 in here, Insensitive, the victory as the favorite. We'll have these prices coming up. We'll set up the nightcap, too, when we return with America's Day at the Races. Stick with us. Also, we'll have the story of how Arkansas is securing the future of their equine athletes. That story for you next on our FS2 coverage. Back with you on America's Day of the Races on our Fox Sports 2 coverage, brought to you in part by Naira Bets, where you can play all the action, bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Go to NairaBets.com, get signed up and started. Insensitive wins a thriller in a photo finish with a 5 Paris style in the 8th.
It's a really nice effort by both of these fillies. Good rides, and your favorite, Insensitive, ground-saving trip, gets her nose down in front at $5 over Paris style. And I've said this all along. I think the exactors are always generous at Oaklawn. Here you got 2 logical horses, your favorite over an 8-to-1 shot, nearly $19 for a buck.
Not bad. Meanwhile, the cross-country pick 5. Races 6, 7, and 8 at Aqueduct, and races 7 and 8 at Oaklawn. With the only, I mean, it wasn't even illogical. We talked about extensively. I mean, that was, you had to put your bet in before that, but a speed favoring track, that was the lone speed in the race. Biggest price in there. Everything else, extremely logical. Over $1,100.
See, that's where you can actually really get an advantage, right? You're paying attention, watching the races, and you can identify that bar 14 appeared to be the lone speed, particularly with a rider who's very in tune with that in Kendrick Carmouche, and you get 1860. Like you said, for the multi-race, it's, your bets are already in, but that's why it's important. You got to pay attention. Riders in the room have to pay attention, and people playing out here have to pay attention.
Nightcap in Hot Springs, 6 furlongs, and Arkansas bred runners trying to get that first win, $30,000 maiden claiming race. Favor right now, the 3 Sunday Spirit. Ron Moquette, he's been using Keith Asmussen quite a bit. That's who will ride here on a horse who was just third against slightly tougher company than last time out, but a similar spot here. Second start of the year coming up for that 3-year-old. Well, if you've been watching our program over the last few years, you've undoubtedly seen and heard it, the bell being rung in the winner's circle at Oaklawn Park. So what does it mean, and why does it elicit such a great response? Well, every time the bell is rung, good things happen for retired racehorses.
Most horses retire 4, 5, 6 years old, but they can live to be 30. Every stake that races needs an aftercare foundation. It was all started by Bill Walmsley, so we got together, got with Jennifer Hoyt, we got a website, we got a Facebook page, and we could rehabilitate and retire the thoroughbreds that have raced at Oaklawn.
We started off very slow. I think we maybe had 6 horses the first year we were in the program. Overall, we've probably retired and rehomed over 50 horses. We do ask that every owner that donates a horse into the program donate the horse with $1,000. That just helps care for the horse for the first month or so that we have the horse in our care. Every year we do get some good funding, but it's amazing how quickly that goes during the summer and fall when we're taking care of about 25 to 30 horses. At the end of the 22 race meet, we implemented the Ring the Bell program. Ron Moquette brought it to us. He provided the bell. And so that April, that last month of that race meet, we gave owners the opportunity to ring the bell every time they won a race. And we raised almost $9,000 in just that month. It's now something that they look forward to doing. It's a sense of pride. I'm going to ring the bell today because that means they won a race. 2 years ago, the HBPA installed an equicizer at Oaklawn, and that's been a huge fundraiser. Trainers pay $10 per horse every time they put it on that equicize wheel, and all that money comes to our program. Each horse has its own adoption fee. We usually set that based on what the horse will be doing in his second career. It ranges from between $500 and $1,500.
These horses have such a great purpose. They want to do something. They want to be a little girl's horse. They want to be ridden. They want to trail ride. They want to event. They want to be a hunter jumper. They want to do something else. And it gives them an opportunity to live a long, prosperous, wonderful life outside the racetrack. But we need that resource everywhere so a person can responsibly retire their horse and have it taken care of.
Well, it's a great cause. You know, we got to protect our equine athletes when their careers are over on the racetrack. And Oaklawn, with the ringing of that bell, they've made it fun, giving and helping.
It's fantastic, and I applaud them for this effort. And everybody is in such a great frame of mind that they want to ring that bell and donate to the horses. We as an industry have to figure out a way to create a mechanism that generates income. Horses never stop eating, and as they said in the feature here, they can live up into their 30s. I have one at home that's 34 right now. And if we can create that where this money can go into an endowment and continually generate, we don't touch the principal, but generate enough money where we're continually taking care of these horses, I think that's the path to showing everybody on the outside just how much we genuinely care about our equine athletes.
Now, Paulie, it seems like a big reason a lot of people love to win and be in that winner's circle, too. They love ringing that bell.
Oh, 100%. From the connections all the way to the trainer. I've seen Steve Asmussen, whenever he runs down there, ring the bell. It's just an unbelievable cause. Whenever you ring it, you automatically can donate $100, or you can obviously designate whatever you want to donate. And, you know, there's a lot of things that go into this, and it's such a tremendous cause like you guys were talking about. And Ron Moquette, I've talked about this multiple times. Mig will tell you he could run for mayor in this town, and he'd be pretty darn close to winning. And he was the one that was telling us, he's like, I'm so proud of this bell. And guess what, Paulie? I said, what? He said, this bell's going to be in the Saratoga Winner's Circle. And I think that's going to be key, especially with the connections up in Saratoga. They love winning races. And when I think you win a race in Saratoga, you're going to ring that bell. And that's just going to be more for our horses. And you saw those equicizer, or what we would call in a human life, treadmills for us. Those were desperately needed when the track closed down. They literally quadrupled their business when the track was frozen and horses could not train for like 10 days. They used those treadmills for, I want to say, like almost 8 to 9 days and saved a lot of horses in training. So, you know, Oaklawn's just done it right, and I'm so glad that the Belle is going to be in the Saratoga Winner's Circle.
There it is. Yeah, ring that bell every time you do. Minimum $100 donation to save retired racehorses and find them a new home. And you can do your part as well. You don't have to win a race and get into that winner's circle. You can go to horseadoption.com and contribute whatever you like.
Yeah, and anybody who's enjoyed a day of sport, obviously horses have given me my livelihood my entire life. We owe it to them. They need a respectful, dignified retirement and an outlet. And like they also said in the feature, horses like having a job. Some horses get extremely bored. And you compare it to people. Some people are idle better than other people. And there are a lot of horses that want to have a purpose. They want to have a routine, just like people do. And I love the ones that can be reschooled for different disciplines, different careers. But some are just good pasture ornaments. Like I said, I have some on my farm that are pasture ornaments, and wake up in the morning, have my coffee, look out that picture window and look at the horses in the field, and my day starts the right way. Something about the outside of a horse, it's good for the inside of a man.
You say it all the time, but yeah, it is so true. We're going to take a timeout. We still have the nightcap to come from Oaklawn when we return. Young man who has grown up right in front of us on this program, Keith Asmussen. They said he's too tall. He never rode with a weight allowance. He's too inexperienced. None of that has mattered for Keith Asmussen, who continues to impress at Oaklawn.
War Dancer, New York's leading turf sire again in 2023 with standouts like Barrage at Saratoga.
Here's Barrage with a final surge. Barrage got him.
Warsaichi dominant on the dirt at Finger Lakes.
Warsaichi has scampered well clear. Warsaichi all the way with the top spot.
And Danzig Queen on the tap of the surface at Woodbine.
And Danzig Queen will come away and win by a length.
Consistently producing winners on dirt, turf, and synthetic. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Such a privilege coming from a family of jockeys that they understand the trials and tribulations of being a jockey and what it takes mentally and physically. When I first started, I wanted to ride one race more than anything, and this kind of snowballed into something that has, blown my wildest expectations.
And it's Ian Glass fending off all the challenges, and he'll prevail going away too.
Today, the Asmussens are better known for training thoroughbreds, thanks to the accomplishments of Keith's father, Steve, who was the only trainer to win 10,000 races in North America.
It's impossible to explain how much fun it is. I mean, I've been unbelievably blessed in horse racing, and I think a lot of it is, growing up when my dad rode, and then my older brother rode and stuff, so the excitement of that, and then to get to relive it with your kids is unbelievable.
I imagine he's got an immense a source of pride from it, given that he is, other than horses, taught me about everything I know. Grew up around the racetrack, handicapping races. Hometown, Arlington, Texas, 20 minutes away from Lone Star Park. Obviously infatuated with jockey as a profession growing up, just having known my father and my uncle and my grandfather, who were all jockeys.
Keith Asmussen's mother, Julie, was an accomplished rider in her own right. She competed in the rodeo event, barrel racing, through high school. And his younger brother, Eric, is the latest Asmussen to forge a path as a jockey. Keith and Eric have already ridden on the same card at several racetracks, just like their uncle and father did at Aqueduct in the 1980s.
It was always, a dream, but I would go as far as saying like a pipe dream of being a jockey. Probably 7th grade, I was about the same size I am now, so I thought I was going to blow right by it.
It was Keith's height and weight that steered him towards a more typical career path after graduating from high school.
Applied to the University of Texas, and I got in their business school. I'm an accounting major. I have a 5 years master's degree in professional accounting. And it wasn't until my junior year at college, when COVID hit, 2020, that when classes went online, I came to work here at Oaklawn. Because I'd already, poked my father quite a bit about, is it possible I could ride a race? Before I even rode, my parents made me promise that, once you start, you're not going to want to go back to school. You got to promise you're going to go back to school. And I kept that promise, and I went back for 2 more years, and I got my degrees. And as soon as I graduated, I went straight to the racetrack.
Rivet has won his 3rd straight, and Keith Asmussen has an Oaklawn Stakes victory.
Keith James Asmussen is named after his grandfather, the family patriarch, who rode quarter horses for 38 years. In fact, grandfather and grandson both won a race for Hall of Fame trainer D. Wayne Lukas 54 years apart.
These two to the wire, Papa Rocket.
I love being a jockey. It's such an incredible feeling. There's nothing like the feeling of being on top of a thoroughbred racehorse at full flight. And, when you add the art of race riding, it was such a spectacle watching it growing up and just being so attracted to it, and then being able to actually do it, it's beyond words.
Well, I had that big day riding for Dad where he won 4 races, all for Steve Asmussen. Incredible to be able to share that as a family, but we've seen him get so much better over the last couple of years here at Oaklawn.
I absolutely am so proud of Keith and love watching him develop and evolve into the race rider that he is now. And I don't use the word race rider lightly. It's one thing to be a jockey. It's another thing to be a race rider, and that's somebody dedicated to the art of race riding, and he talked about that. A lot of people said, oh, you're too tall. Anybody that's got to put someone else down, knock them, they don't have the vision or the drive themselves to try to think outside the box. And my thing was, anybody tells you what you can't do, show them what you can do, and that's what Keith's been doing.
And now we're seeing, like we're going to see in this last race coming up, Ron Moquett. A lot of other trainers are starting to use him.
And that's because he has shown that he's more than capable. He's shown that he belongs. And he's really caught fire here at Oaklawn. He's 26 or 27 wins now. It's really, and again, this is a young man that developed as a rider without the benefit of ever being an apprentice. He couldn't take advantage of the weight allowance. And that's when riders develop, make their mistakes, and learn on the job. And he never had that advantage. He had to do it as a full-fledged journeyman right off the start. I think it's fantastic. I enjoy watching it. And as kind of neat and compact as he's got on a horse for his size, for his height, he's managed it, reminds me more and more of his Uncle Cash, who was one of the greatest riders of his era and revolutionized the way races were ridden in France.
Well, Keith, we'll see him on the 3 coming up. Sunday Spirit for the Ron Moquett barn in this nightcap to close things out on our Thursday coverage. We start with Safety, a first-time starter from the rail.
Safety out of a mare that raced 67 times, adorable type, not taking any money.
Preacher's kid, in the mud, 2 back, ran a good effort.
And gets back to sprinting after trying to stretch out unsuccessfully last time.
Here's Keith Asmussen on Sunday Spirit for Ron Moquett.
Horse took a big step forward in his second start, takes another slight drop in class, and could take another step forward.
First-time starter here, Classic Cinema.
Yeah, so 10-1, not screaming any money here, but we'll see how this one does.
Tommy Try is dropping to face State Bread Company.
But it's just none of the races really give you anything to go on, though.
Swift Key, first-time starter.
Mare's had 2 to start, both winners, but another one not taking any money. And we try to let the board help us in these situations.
Favorite, Deserving, has tactical speed and actually finished ahead of Sunday Spirit when they met in this horse's debut.
Yeah, I mean, this horse had basically snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory last time when he got run down.
35-1 on a first-time starter by Cloud Computing, Preakness winner.
Again, the board not giving us a lot of confidence.
Dicey Wager at least taking a big drop in class. It was an open maiden special weight Louisiana Downs in the debut.
Yeah, now gets with Arkansas breds and for maiden claimant tag and did flash speed against better.
Equipment change and needs something different, preparedness.
Yeah, it's going to have to turn it around in a big way.
And Great Barrier to the outside. Was in against Amazing Success Sunday Spirit last time out. Was no match.
Yeah, and has kind of run consistent kind of figures, has run okay. Maybe the outside post allows this horse to avoid any kind of traffic. In this group, this horse is certainly a contender, and you get Steve Asmussen, Ricardo Santana. So be interesting to see Keith come down on a Ron Marquette trainee taking on his dad's horse the last 8th of March.
5-2 on Great Barrier right now. Let's go to Paul for more.
Yeah, that would be great, right? And Sunday Spirit will start off with him as well, with Keith Asmussen aboard. And we'll show you his last start. You know, he got left in the gate, dead left in the gate. And, you know, when he got left, he kind of got on his feet a little bit. And he just broke and he went into the gap. Mig, you've obviously seen this before. When he sort of gets into the one hole, he's ducked into the gap. Now when they get to the far turn, you have amazing success. Now, a horse right now at 2-1. I just can't take a horse that's got a 4-length lead in the lane and gets run down. You know, like you said, the horse had the race sealed and just got ripped and didn't get ripped at the wire, lost by 2 lengths. And that's my worry when it comes to the 7 Amazing Success. Now Sunday Spirit, if, you know, he could break a little bit better, obviously he's going to be a more dangerous foe in here. Now the 2 in here for Greg Compton, you know, Greg's horses have been firing in here. Now this horse is going to cut back from a mile to 6 furlongs, so that would probably heighten his late punch a little bit. And you're getting 7-1 on the Compton runner, who I think has a shot. So I think the board has got it right, 2, 3, 7. But then you got the Asmussen horse on the outside, the 12, Great Barrier, and a horse by Candy Ride. The Candy Rides usually just swallow up the mud. You know, this horse was in for, you know, maiden special weight races, and obviously he's an Archie bred. Johnny Ortiz put him in an open 20, and Steve Asmussen took him. The one thing I will say about this horse, he did not run at all last time out, but I think he's going to run well today. Number 1, I think the wet will move him up. Number 2, Steve Asmussen's so dangerous second time off the claim. I think a lot of people don't realize how good he is second time a horse is in his barn. So I do think the 12 will be tough in here at 3-1. I think the 2 in here is the right price at 5-1. But I think they got the board right. The only thing that I don't have right, I cannot play a horse that just blew a 4-length lead as your favorite, the 7. I'm not going there.
Well, and at least with Sunday Spirit, the 3. Had the rail when ducked in there, at least going to have some cushion. So can't break as bad as he did last time.
Well, also now 3rd start, more experience. You don't have all that empty space. You're inside. Young, inexperienced horses have a tendency to run to empty space. Much like water, they flow to the empty spot. I like this horse a lot today, the 3 Sunday Spirit. And also, how many times on America's Day at the Races have we done a feature on someone and they wind up winning the very next race?
It's uncanny. It really is. Happens quite a bit, and we'll see if that happens for Keith Asmussen here coming up. And not to mention the man, double feature angle, Ron Marquette, who installed the bell in that winner's circle.
Yeah, that's his favorite song. Ring my bell. Ring my bell.
Oh, it's everyone's favorite. For so long, we didn't know what it was all about. So glad we were able to bring that story to everybody. There's Keith Asmussen stepping in. 3rd time out, Sunday Spirit. Will the break be better today? If so, this one's going to be dangerous. Nightcap from Oaklawn. The 9 acting up. That was a first-time start of their Rustic Affair. Very unhappy. Didn't get too far away. Matt Dinnerman with the call.
Rustic Affair goes in without the rider. actually backed away, so they almost had her in. Waiting for Rustic Affair to take her spot.
So as you can see, everyone being backed out of the gate, and the 9 still without a rider here. Rustic Fair, that horse who shied away from the gate. Waiting to see what happens with the 9 here, and it looks like a number may be coming off the board, and maybe the 9.
Yeah, so obviously we're going to be in a holding pattern here until they take the – it appears like they were taking a number down. I believe it was the 9, but we'll wait for confirmation of that. But obviously an issue here. We'll see if there's a late scratch, and we'll go with take 2.
All right, so we have a moment. Let's look ahead to this weekend and the correction here at Aqueduct. Fillies and Mares, 4 and up, 6 furlong sprint, $100,000 purse. And we'll start with a rematch between Hot Fudge, Can't Hurry Love. They met in the Garland of Roses back on December 9th, and it was Hot Fudge who came out on top by a neck between these two.
Yeah, a good effort by both of these. Can't Hurry Love has kind of changed up her, she has the ability to rate now and finish. Hot Fudge has just been in raging form. 4 in a row, 5 of the last 6, 6 of her last 8. She's quick. She puts herself in a good spot. Kendrick Carmouche back for the 3rd, trying to get his 3rd in a row on her looking for her 5th. I don't think a lot separates these two. A lot of it will come down to trip. Can't Hurry Love and Hot Fudge. Can't Hurry Love tried 7/8 last time, just a little bit out of her scope. 6 furlongs, much better distance for her.
Yeah, so you mentioned it. Hot Fudge, she came out of that win over Can't Hurry Love. She won again at 7 furlongs on a muddy sealed track. So, yeah, she's trying to win 5 straight. She's been on a serious roll. Kendrick Carmouche will be aboard. Meanwhile, Starship Defiant, 2 starts back. It's going to be her stakes debut coming up on Saturday, but 2 starts ago at Aqueduct, January 11th. She was dominant.
Yeah, big effort, biggest effort of her career, and she was dominant, put herself right up on the pace, kicked away very impressively. My question about her is she ran this huge race here at Aqueduct, ships to Oaklawn Park, now ships back, and you just wonder how that affects, some horses it won't affect at all, and some will have a bigger effect.
And two, she just didn't show up. She was such a massive standout in that race at Oaklawn. And just didn't fire at all.
No, she didn't fire. She got kind of relegated to a chasing position, but she never looked like she was traveling easily. She was working hard.
Did have a little trouble, too.
Yeah, but did she have trouble because she couldn't get to the spot she wanted? Sometimes, a rider and the horse see where they want to get to, and they just don't have the acceleration to get there, and they get in trouble. And people say, well, the horse had trouble. Well, sometimes it's a function of them not being good enough to get the spot.
Yeah, we'll see if she can rebound in her stakes debut. Coming up on our Saturday card at Aqueduct. No show again on Saturdays. We're back at Oaklawn here, and as expected, 9 officially is a scratch, and they've taken the 9 off the board. So back and reloading now as they move back in line. The 7 still your favorite, and it is tough to take a horse, and there's the 7 who had a 4-length lead in the stretch and got run down and didn't just miss, got beat handily.
No, it just seemed like that horse completely caved. And as we said, the 9, a late scratch. I'm going with the 3. I'm looking for Keith to get it done here in the nightcap for Ron Marquette.
Let's go back to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
Preparedness. Two back. Tommy Try. And to the outside, Great Barrier. We're ready to go in the finale. And And Leroff, very awkward break from safety. You ducked inwards at the start after breaking slowly. Dicey Wager, Classic Cinema, the first-time starter, has the most speed. Classic Cinema to the front. Dicey Wager concedes the lead, takes back, and chases right behind in the second spot. There's a gap of 4 to Amazing Success runs in third with Sunday Spirit and Great Barrier. Another 2 lengths back to Preacher's Kid. Tommy Try, they're next in the field. Swift Key is third last, 3 lengths clear of the 2 at the back. Preparedness and slow starting Safety into the turn. Classic Cinema 12-1 leads the way. First out for the Terry Brennan barn, rounds the turn, a neck in front. Dicey Wager already getting closer, and it is within a nose of that front runner, and these 2 are right together now. Sunday Spirit getting closer on the fence, taking third with Amazing Success, and Great Barrier, who's sent along outside of that pair. Those 5 bunch up at the top of the lane. They come off the turn here. Dicey Wager, Classic Cinema, Dicey Wager kicking on. Great Barrier on the outside trying to roll. Sunday Spirit trying to weave his way through between horses. He's getting pinned in behind. It's Dicey Wager, Great Barrier, Sunday Spirit ducking to the inside. It's still Dicey Wager fending off Great Barrier and Sunday Spirit. Dicey Wager gets it by 3/4 of a length. Great Barrier was second. Sunday Spirit third with an unlucky trip, and Preacher's Kid was fourth.
There have been some strange goings-ons today at the racetrack. Dicey Wager, biggest class dropper in the field out of a race that might have been a key race. Second, third place finishers came back to win 12-1 in this nightcap.
Yeah, and the comment in the trouble line for Dicey Wager off the first race is really misleading. It says trail. This horse actually flashed speed for about 3/8 of a mile against open maiden allowance race, horses, and now gets in for maiden 30 against Arkansas breds. You could make a case for this horse going in.
Too big a price. Carl Broberg, too, one of the winningest barns at the meet. With Harry Hernandez, again, we mentioned that name. We're back tomorrow, 3 Eastern start time on our FS2 coverage for the Friday card. We hope to see you then. As night falls on Aqueduct, it was Frau Diablo on a day that was very good to speed here at South Ozone Park, New York, taking the 7th, going gate to wire. Leading every step of the way. And the feature at Oaklawn, Insensitive, it was a close one. Photo finish. And Francisco Arrieta out-dueling Julien Leparoux and Paris Style for the narrowest of victories in that 8th race. Again, we'll see you Friday, 3 Eastern start time on our FS2 coverage tomorrow.